When girls used to fall head over heels for bad boys, but those days are long gone. The country's new president took one look at this chaos and decided enough was enough. He set out to completely crush juvenile delinquency once and for all. Take this place. It looks like a normal prison, but believe me, this place is literal hell. Once you step inside, it does not matter if you were a ruthless gang leader, or even the pampered son of some incredibly high-ranking politician. The moment you arrive, you are treated like nothing more than an animal. They endure brutal, non-stop physical training all day long. Stripped of basic rights, they are not even allowed to speak or eat like humans. Instead, they must squeal like pigs and eat actual slop. Depending on how bad their crimes were, every delinquent gets a grade. It is branded right onto their chest. A higher letter means a worse punishment. The higher that grade, the more brutal the reformation process becomes. And this torture only ends once they are officially deemed cured. Take Zhao Chong-su, a gang leader who used to terrify the local cops. He was only deemed cured after losing his mind entirely. Unable to even control his bowels, all because of the old, lenient laws. Juvenile crime had completely spiraled out of control across the entire country. Teachers who tried to guide them in the right direction became targets of brutal violence. Even when they severely hurt people, they felt zero remorse. They knew the law would protect them from any real punishment. It created a broken world where no adult dared to correct a child. Afraid of payback, grown-ups walked on eggshells around kids. Everything shifted when Han Mansu was elected president. He tore up those old laws. Instead, he passed a brutal new bill called the Special Reformation Act. Slaps on the wrist were over. Commit a crime and you get sent to the camps. Only after total reform are you allowed back into society. Basically, if talking does not work, extreme discipline is the only option. But get this, today these bad kids are voluntarily giving blood. Gullible adults watching think these punks have finally turned over a new leaf. But in reality, they just want those blood donation certificates. Why? Because one certificate can be exchanged for quick cash. They can trade them for 5,000 won at Lee Min-soo's shop. As soon as they get their hands on one, they run straight to him. This is the side hustle our main character Lee Min-soo runs. He buys gift cards and certificates for 10,000 won total. But he only wants the donor cards, which are actually worth 12,000. By acting as a middleman, he pockets a pretty sweet profit. He knows this is highly illegal, but he is not worried one bit. Since he is a minor, the worst he will get is a slap on the wrist. His real problem is dealing with the actual violent thugs around here. As Lee Min-soo is happily counting cash, a boot slams right into his face. He and his cardboard desk go flying several meters across the pavement. A group of delinquents crowd around, mocking him for making so much money. Lee Min-soo glares up at them and curses his awful luck. His worst fear has officially come true. The thugs surrounding him laugh at the new enacted law calling rehabilitation a total load of garbage. Suddenly, the blonde leader fires off multiple foul-smelling yellow smoke bombs, while Lee Min-soo is pinned to the dirt, enduring this smelly humiliation. The blonde asks him, "Do you not know how to share, or are you only brave because Chang-gu went to jail?" With that, he spits directly on Lee Min-soo's face. Outraged, Lee Min-soo trembles with raw anger, shouting that without Chang-gu, the blonde is just a worthless loser. The blonde claims he definitely knows Chang-gu is 100 times more terrifying, but coincidentally, Chang-gu is being released today. Hearing this, Lee Min-soo's pupils instantly shrink. Chang-gu is the brutal leader of the regional youth crime gang. Anyone he ever targeted suffered horrible torture, but absolutely no one dares call themselves a victim, dreading the brutal revenge of this absolute demon. Lee Min-soo is no exception. Just picturing that terrifying face makes him tremble. Seeing how terrified Lee Min-soo is, the blonde gets right to the point. If he wants to avoid Chang-gu's bad temper, he should hand over the cash. At that, Lee Min-soo fumbles in his bag while claiming there is no problem, but instantly he flips off the entire gang. Talk about guts. Seeing this, the blonde is completely enraged, throwing a nasty curse. A sharp knee strike slams into Lee Min-soo's stomach. A relentless beatdown follows right there on the ground. With Chang-gu gone, do you think you're safe? Am I a joke? Still unsatisfied, the blonde looks around and spots a heavy shovel lying nearby. He is fully set on teaching Lee Min-soo a lesson he will never forget. Another delinquent quickly steps in, telling him to chill. If things go too far, they will end up locked away, but the blonde claims he does not care about reformatories. He honestly believes that as long as he plays tough, he can walk free whenever. Right now, he just wants to thrash Lee Min-soo into submission, but right before the blonde can swing, a heavy kick flies straight into his back. The student council president Kang Wukong steps in. He warns them that violence is banned on this campus. Calmly, he helps Lee Min-soo stand up. The surrounding bullies instantly recognize who he is, but the humiliated blonde is past the point of caring. He grabs the shovel, charging at Kang Wukong. He swears he'll kill them both and transfer schools. After dodging the shovel, Kang Wukong asks if he actually wants to become a murderer. Without waiting, his hand grips the blonde's shoulder tightly. With a smooth over-the-shoulder throw, he slams him into the dirt. Can you handle the consequences? Realizing he is outmatched, the blonde immediately yells for backup. Attack! Instantly, 3 lackeys rush forward to attack Kang Wukong all at once. But weak lackeys stand no real chance. They are dropped one by one. With effortless strikes, a heavy guy in orange tries to jump him, but Kang Wukong ducks right under. He grabs the incoming arm with both hands, redirecting that forward momentum. He executes another flawless heavy throw, smashing him onto the cold ground. Keeping up the momentum, Kang Wukong wastes zero time and charges right at the final delinquent. Seeing this, the terrified delinquent begs for mercy, crying out to stay back since he was only acting tough. But unfortunately, acting tough cannot save him from a brutal beating. Lee Man-soo grabs his backpack with a sigh, asking Kang Wukong if campus violence was prohibited. Facing Lee Man-soo's question, Kang Wukong simply turns to look. He flashes a friendly smile, saying that at times like this, he should call him by his name. Lee Man-soo walks ahead with his head down, muttering that they are no longer brothers. He warns him to stop meddling before he drags him down too. But Kang Wukong just laughs it off, calling him his brother. No matter what, they will always be inseparable. Lee Man-soo hesitates, then tells him to throw away that cheap watch. Since a wealthy family adopted him, he should buy a better one. Kang Wukong just scratches his head and shrugs, saying he does not care. On his walk home, Lee Man-soo cannot stop worrying about his brother. If today's fight ruins Kang Wukong's college chances, it would be a disaster. His brother is the student council president with guaranteed medical school admission. His birth name was actually Lee Hunu before the adoption. He is Lee Man-soo's biological older brother, adopted by a rich family years ago. Lee Man-soo believes they should stay completely out of each other's lives now. His brother should walk a bright path while he finds his own way to survive. Right inside this abandoned clothing donation box lies his secret stash. This is all the money he has saved, totaling 3.4 million won. He still needs 6.6 million more to reach his goal. He is planning to visit other schools to collect more blood donation certificates, since his own school will not host another drive for 3 whole months. His obsession with making quick money started when he aged out of the orphanage 2 years ago. The government gave him 5 million won to help him start out. But that tiny amount could not even secure a decent place to live. Being an underage orphan made finding a legal job impossible, leaving him with very few choices. Suddenly, right as he hides the cash, a chilling voice speaks behind him. The blonde guy has tracked him down, grabbing Lee Man-soo by the shoulder. He whispers in his ear, asking if he wants to hear something cool. Any money earned through crime gets immediately seized by the government. He laughs loudly as Lee Man-soo demands to know what he wants. The blonde sneers, reminding him of his promise to make him wet his pants every single day. Meanwhile, in Kang Wukong's chaotic classroom, the teacher suddenly walks in. He demands silence because he has a very important announcement to make. Zhao Changsu, who was sent to juvenile detention, has finally returned to school. The teacher claims that Zhao Changsu has truly reflected on his past actions. He asks the entire class to help him fit back into school. The students immediately start gossiping, mocking the teacher's naive words. They whisper that juvenile detention must be an absolute joke. But trust me, nothing could prepare them for the shocking sight that enters the room next. The cruel gang leader they all once feared is pushed in on a wheelchair. His eyes are blank, shouting like an idiot that he needs to pee. And right in front of the class, a warm stream sprays from his pants. Only then do these students realize this brutal new Reformation Act is no joke. It is no game. Meanwhile, police tape off a crowded alley outside the orphanage. A massive crowd gathers around the scene. A brutal murder just happened here. The driver warns Kang Wuksung that they might miss the academy party today. Due to a massive traffic jam caused by an accident up ahead, Kang Wuksung stares, realizing that is the exact orphanage where he grew up. Nothing should be happening there, but then he spots something. He immediately flings open the car door in sheer panic. That watch lying on the pavement belongs to Lee Min-soo. A sickening wave of dread washes over him. He frantically starts shoving through the dense crowd, running forward, but the sight ahead makes his pupils dilate instantly. His brother Min-soo is already in handcuffs, surrounded by officers, and just like that, under Article 243 of the Special Reformation Act, he is bound for the infamous Reformation Correctional Facility under strict and heavy supervision. Brought before the Juvenile Simplified Court, he faces a ruthlessly cold judge. The judge furiously scolds Min-soo, calling him a hopeless brat showing zero remorse. He snaps, "Do not forget that you are on trial for murder." Lee Min-soo keeps his head down, desperately repeating that he is innocent, but the judge completely ignores him, slamming down a bloody brick covered in Min-soo's fingerprints as primary evidence, along with a thick list of his past offenses. If people killed others over petty issues like bullying, stolen cash, or simple grudges, the world would have countless corpses lying around. Min-soo mutters that he only broke the law because he cannot trust grown-ups. The judge scoffs, telling him to seek help instead, then invokes Article 28. Under this harsh act, a formal detention order is officially issued. He is heading straight to the correctional facility with a bus load of other young delinquents. The guards on board grin widely, telling the noisy kids to quiet down. They are close to their destination. Soon the bus pulls up. These clueless kids have absolutely no sense of danger, complaining about sleeping in such a rundown place. But as the bus drives deeper inside, they spot a group of teenage girls with incredible bodies. Their hearts instantly begin to flutter, and they even start fighting over who gets to claim which girl. The guard quickly tells them to shut their mouths. That is the female camp. Their own barracks are on the other side. Meanwhile, Lee Min-soo leans silently against the glass window, still thinking about the judge's hollow words to trust grown-ups. But even though he was telling the absolute truth, nobody believed him. How could he trust them? Soon the bus pulls up to the boys' section. At first, these cocky juvenile delinquents still try to act tough and arrogant toward the guards. But what they witness next completely wipes the stupid smirks off their faces. Heavily tattooed, muscular inmates are running laps while sobbing uncontrollably. They are howling like wild beasts, making the fresh arrivals laugh out loud. But a terrifying instructor immediately notices their laughter. He barks out a deafening command to halt all training. Instantly, those criminal youths with bold red grades branded on their chests snap to attention in perfect, rigid formation, not daring to make a single movement. Then the head instructor bellows out to show respect to the director. All personnel salute on cue. The entire yard throws up a rigid salute. The real nightmare begins. He flatly orders the team to stand in formation. Hearing this, Lee Min-soo and the other rookies wonder if they really have to obey. Suddenly, the director flashes a wicked grin and barks out, "Dog position." The second he says it, the newly arrived delinquents laugh mockingly. They laugh, yet that simple command forces the older thugs to drop. Slamming their heads straight onto the dirt, they look like submissive beasts. The sickening sight disgusts the rookies. Do these guys not have human rights? The director points straight at the newcomers, calling them disobedient little pests. Then he bellows a single word, "piglets," triggering a bizarre reaction. Loud pig squeals suddenly erupt from the boy's face down on the dirt. He declares that in 10 minutes, those pests will be turned into livestock. Hearing this, one of the rookie delinquents tries to angrily talk back. Instantly, a brutal fist smashes directly into his face. Lee Min-soo and the other newcomers watch with wide, terrified eyes. Those groveling youths then start squealing like hungry wolves, slowly advancing on the terrified newcomers as if they want to unleash all their built-up rage on them. Soon, most of the rookies are completely beaten down. The director smiles, saying he loves this sight. He tells them they are no longer pigs, but are now promoted to servants. They are finally allowed to speak like human beings again. At that, the battered boys instantly bark out their submission. Meanwhile, Lee Min-soo cunningly hits the floor, playing dead. As for the rest, they are hunted down like prey or run to the guards for safety. But those smiling faces are a trap. the guards absolutely despise these parasites. To them, brutal violence is the only language these kids will ever understand. They strike with precision, hitting hard while carefully avoiding any lethal areas. Pain without death, that is the real goal here, Lee Min-soo takes. This all in, knowing that killing someone is a line nobody wants to cross. But suddenly, the terrifying director looms right over his supposedly dead body. He asks if it is too intense, mocking the rookie for playing tricks. Before Lee Min-soo can even stammer out a quick apology, a heavy boot crushes his face into the dirt. The director laughs, liking cunning little mice. He declares Lee Min-soo is now his personal pet mouse to keep him entertained, ordering him to only make squeaking sounds. Left with no choice, Lee Min-soo complies. Just then, two guards report that everyone has been successfully sorted out. Next, the new delinquents are stripped completely bare and forced to kneel together on the cold ground for their brutal evaluation phase. Meanwhile, far away, Kang Wook-sung finds Chang-soo's home and knocks loudly. Getting absolutely no answer, he pulls out a pair of scissors to pick the lock. Within seconds, the door swings open. He has mastered this craft since his childhood days. Back then, he and his younger brother, Lee Min-soo, used to rob empty houses. Min-soo would keep watch outside while he looted everything valuable. In just 5 quick minutes, they could strip an entire home clean. They kept up this dangerous burglary routine for they spent several years doing this, until the police caught them and sent them to an orphanage. Only then did that lifestyle end. Since then, Kang Wook-sung never expected to pick locks again. He is back, but not to steal. He is looking for his brother. And Chang-soo, tied to the bed, is the only one with answers. The helpless captive just whimpers, completely broken, lying in his own mess. He cries like a terrified child, looking at this ruined shell of a man. Kang Wukong is deeply chilled. What kind of nightmare facility did this to him? They claim you fell and hit your head, but there are no visible wounds. No broken bones, no scars. There is definitely a darker truth here. The questions go completely unanswered. Chang-soo simply cannot understand a single word. He just screams in terror, begging to use the bathroom. Frustrated, Kang Wukong slaps his face. It only took 4 weeks to destroy you, he mutters. So tell me where my brother is before it is too late. Fear grips him. If the brutal Chang-soo was broken in a month, what will happen to his own flesh and blood? He dreads the answer. But Chang-soo is far gone. There is no getting through to him. He just cowers, crying out in pain and begging for forgiveness. Stop it. Kang Wukong stops his assault. The guy is truly, completely brain damaged. Continuing the interrogation is just a waste of time, but then he spots something. An odd mark is stamped right on Chang-soo's chest. It is the branding given to every juvenile offender entering that facility. A brutal grade stamped by the director of the facility. He ranks them strictly based on how dangerous they are. Sizing up the new arrivals, the director finds this batch incredibly boring. But then his eyes lock onto someone who stands out, Lee Min-soo. The director rises with a grin, shouting that his instincts are never wrong. Congratulations, Lee Min-soo. You are far more vicious than you appear. He never expected the only grade A of this group to be him. Your training period is going to be incredibly special, he sneers. Hearing this, Lee Min-soo feels a cold wave of dread wash over him. Meanwhile, after chasing down Lids, Kang Wukong stakes out a local middle school. The bell rings and groups of young girls walk out giggling and chatting. Suddenly, one of them spots something that stops her dead. She nudges her friend, blushing furiously as she points toward the street. There sits Kang Wukong, casually reading a book on his bicycle. His insanely good looks immediately make the two girls swoon. They walk right up, and the masked girl asks if he is a trainee. Kang Wukong pulls out his earphones, offering a polite apology. He simply asks for a quick favor, but his gentle smile melts them. They are so captivated they offer him their phone numbers and addresses. He tells them he is looking for a girl named Gwai Min. But the moment her name is spoken, their happy faces completely freeze. They point a trembling finger toward the crowd, asking if he is crazy. That absolute psychopath just got released from the youth facility, they whisper. Suddenly, Gwai Min glares back, sending a shiver of pure terror through them. They drop their hands, desperately trying to avoid her. With his target locked, Kang Wukong steps forward, blocking Gwai Min's path. Cut off, Gu Min demands to know what he wants. Kang Wukong says he has questions. He asks about the facility. Hearing that name instantly triggers her. Gumin shoves him right out of the way. She tells him to get lost and stop bothering her. Kang Wukong immediately bows his head, explaining that he really does not mean to offend. His own brother was just sent to that place, but Gumin does not even slow down. As he stands there wondering if he approached the wrong person, a motorcycle helmet comes flying. Gumin throws the helmet and motions for him to get on the back. She knows this street is definitely not the place to talk about that facility. Riding along, Kang Wukong asks what changed her mind, and her answer is simple. Gumin's own brother is locked up in there, and she has one word for it. She calls it absolute hell. Meanwhile, the delinquents inside are already suffering. These newly arrived delinquents have already survived 3 straight hours of brutal, high-intensity training. They are so completely exhausted that their muscles will not stop shaking. All they want is for this nightmare punishment to finally end, but things only get worse. Under the instructor's harsh orders, Lee Min-soo has to squeak like a mouse while others squeal. The instructors scream that they are getting the animal noises totally wrong. Shouting 1 means oinking, shouting 2 means groaning loudly on command. And so they begin oinking and groaning while forced to squat. They keep making these ridiculous farm animal noises while forced to squat repeatedly. Lee Min-soo has it slightly easier, only needing to continuously squeak like a mouse. This bizarre chorus of animal noises makes the director on the platform smile with absolute joy. To him, the sounds of broken kids acting like livestock are beautiful. Suddenly, chaos. One of the exhausted kids collapses right onto the dirt. Instantly, the instructor rains down fists and kicks, screaming that someone fell behind. Now everyone starts over. The kid begs, crying out that his stomach hurts badly. He desperately pleads with the guard to let him use the bathroom. The guard just mocks him, asking where all that tough attitude went now that he is crying. Seeing the commotion, the director steps in and tells the guard to stand down. He walks over to the trembling kid and gently tells him he must have suffered a lot. He tells him not to be afraid and stands him up, offering a free bathroom break. Then, looking at the exhausted crowd, he asks if anyone else needs to go. Seeing the director play the good guy, the kids eagerly start speaking up. One by one, almost everyone desperately raises their hands to join. A massive line forms. The guard asks if anyone else is going. He warns them that this is their absolute last chance to step forward. With no more takers, the instructor orders the remaining kids to resume training. Waiting in line, Lee Min-soo starts to get a highly uneasy feeling about this. He wonders if the guards are actually going to let them use the restroom. If the alternative is brutal training, obviously everyone would fake a stomachache to get out. Some guys ahead are already smirking and playing tricks, which seems way too easy. Especially since the warden looked ready to murder them just a few minutes ago. This sudden kindness feels incredibly suspicious, like a total poison trap. It is like sweet forest fruit. The more tempting it looks, the deadlier it is. Most people cannot resist picking it. After some serious hesitation, Lee Min-soo raises his hand, squeaking like a mouse, as the instructor marches over to demand his name. What he wants, Lee Min-soo just keeps squeaking like a mouse until the fierce instructor demands that he speak human words. Only then does Min-soo claim his stomach suddenly. Feels fine, and he begs to return to drill the moment he finishes. Speaking, the instructor grabs him by the neck and barks in his face. Thinking the boy is playing games, Lee Min-soo quickly explains he just overexerted himself, upsetting his stomach and forcing a bathroom emergency, though he's totally fine. Now the guard snaps at him to get back and promises he'll be watching. Lee Min-soo, dropping out of the bathroom queue, faces heavy mocking from the other delinquents, yet he knows exactly what is happening. They are nothing but livestock to these guards. Bathrooms are for humans, not cattle. Soon, the rest of the delinquents desperate to go are lined up. The head director steps in, gently extending his hands with a warm smile. He says that whether human or animal, everyone has physical needs that cannot be ignored. He generously grants them 30 minutes of rest. Hearing this, the exhausted troublemakers waiting in line let out relieved smiles. Just watch this, the director suddenly points a cold finger at them. He asks what they're grinning at, coldly clarifying he wasn't speaking to them. Those who stayed behind get to rest, but the others, their horrific nightmare begins. They are forced into human centipede training. Lee Min-soo feels incredibly relieved he dropped out. He knew something was off. The director explains that centipedes are just low arthropods, creatures with 15 pairs of legs, sometimes up to 177. They are a lower class of life, Now, these prisoners must hold themselves up. Hands on the floor, faces pressed against the person ahead of them. If someone falls, the clock resets. This is the director's brutal toilet drill. It is a fully automatic digestive toilet. While holding the line, they endure. Relentless beatings from the guards. You insects want it to go right. Why is everyone quiet now? Finally, 30 long minutes pass. The guards spray their exhausted bodies with freezing water to wash away the stench. Those rebellious kids who entered like wild animals are now broken, trembling livestock. The bell finally rings across the facility, signaling the end of training. What follows is their scheduled dinner and assigning them to their dorms. Lee Min-soo stares down at his metal food tray. It looks exactly like pig feed. He genuinely wonders if this slop is meant for human consumption. No tables. No spoons, just a desperate crowd of boys eating with their bare hands. Before digging in, the guard orders everyone to sing the gratitude song. Min-soo has no clue what that is, but the grinning guards start singing loudly. They belt out the lyrics, declaring they are not human, but pigs and dogs. Everyone must eat whatever they are given. This song is proudly framed on the wall. Right in the cafeteria center, Lee Min-soo realizes they truly mean it. These guards literally view them as farm animals. This is their absolute reality. He scoops the messy slop with his fingers, shoving it into his mouth. It does not matter if he is treated like a beast. The only goal now is pure survival. He has to endure until he can escape. Meanwhile, Kang Wook-sung is led by Gu Jimin to a quiet hilltop overlooking the entire Reformation facility. Standing above, Kang Wook-sung asks her if she honestly believes this place is hell. Gu Jimin replies that actual hell is better than this godforsaken prison. Pure hell, she suffers constant nightmares about what happens there. Day after day, she relies on heavy sleeping pills to rest. His sheer desperation shows how much he loves his little brother. Their mother's final dying wish was for him to protect him. But he failed. That heavy guilt brought him straight to Gu-sin. He must act immediately, otherwise it will be far too late. Yet Gu-sin seems completely unaffected by that horrific place. She looks up, asking if he wants to know her secret. Hearing this, Kang Wukong eagerly asks if there is a way. How did she survive? Suddenly, Gu-sin pulls a ridiculous face. She played dumb, pretended to be a total fool in there. Kang Wukong snaps, telling her to stop joking around immediately. Instead of replying, Gu-sin slowly pulls back her long hair. Her scalp is covered in horrific, deep-set boiling oil scars. That place gathers the nation's absolute worst psychopaths, pure madness. One single argument, and they shoved her head into hot oil. Because she acted brain-damaged, they let her out early. Genius. He bows his head in guilt, but she shuts him down. No pity, instead, she brings up the mysterious prison markings. And this is where things get seriously dark. The sorting begins. Their past crimes dictate their exact grade and threat level. These grades determine their room assignments and fellow cellmates. Grade E means simple violence, while Grade D is drugs. Grade C holds thieves, and Grade B is for brutal assault. She was in B, that means his brother, Lee Min-soo, is in A. Grade A is where the ultimate, most vicious monsters are kept. Every single juvenile convict locked inside that block is a murderer. The moment Lee Min-soo steps inside, hostile eyes lock onto him. This is a direct confrontation. He cannot show any weakness. One inmate barks, demanding to know why he hasn't introduced himself. He cracks his knuckles, demanding to know where Lee Min-soo came from. Lee Min-soo calmly responds that he came from the orphanage. He names his high school, and the inmates immediately start mocking him. They laugh, another soft charity case trying to act tough. One veteran mentions knowing another kid from that exact school. A third year named Zio Changsu, but a sudden roar interrupts him. Shut up, a single command sends a wave of cold sweat. The cell leader, a long-haired veteran, demands to know his crime. To end up in Grade A, he must have done something horrific. Sensing the long-haired guy is the cell boss, Lee Min-soo answers instantly. He drops the truth calmly. Murder. The entire room goes dead silent. Eyes widen in pure shock. Cold sweat drips down their faces. They whisper among themselves, wondering if this kid is just bluffing. Their sudden fear makes Lee Min-soo wonder if he is the only killer. He expected other killers, but apparently he stands completely alone. Things are dead serious here, where crime severity directly dictates power. At this moment, one veteran suddenly speaks up to the long-haired guy. He mocks that their pet dog must keep acting as the rookie. Lee Min-soo is a bit confused. Could that long-haired guy actually be the lowest ranking scrub in the room? But a second later, he realizes he is wrong. They are not talking about that long-haired veteran, but the white-haired guy. Currently being used as a literal footstool under the long-haired guy, he is the lowest one here. The long-haired guy suddenly stands up, complaining that sitting like this is incredibly uncomfortable. Hearing this, the white-haired guy who just tried to apologize normally gets beaten by a veteran for speaking human words. Once again, left completely helpless, the poor white-haired guy can only make weak mouse-like squeaks. This brutal scene mirrors Lee Min-soo's previous harsh experiences. The weak are always bullied, whether outside or inside, so at this moment, Lee Min-soo quietly makes up his mind. If they think they can easily order him around, he would rather accept being treated as a ruthless killer. At 7 in the evening, reflection time begins. The delinquent kids in this correctional facility must write 10 self-reflection essays every day, but Lee Min-soo has no idea what to write down. After all, that blonde bully was not actually killed by him. Suddenly, a crumpled wad of paper lands on Lee Min-soo's desk. 2 veterans are using the reflection sheets to play a baseball game. Lee Min-soo curiously asks if they are skipping their reflection essays. The veteran mocks him, asking why bother with that useless garbage. Their pet dog will write them all anyway, and he tells Lee Min-soo not to write either, just pass everything to the pet dog. But at this moment, the white-haired guy clutches his crotch and lets out 2 pathetic barks. Only after receiving the veteran's permission does he dare speak like a human to say he needs to use the restroom. Fortunately, the 2 veterans do not make things difficult. They agree to this request, but just as the white-haired guy is about to relieve himself, one veteran viciously kicks him in the butt. He sneers that the white-haired guy is just a dog now, not a person, so he must pee like one. Under the strict supervision of the 2 veterans, the white-haired guy has no choice. Honestly, this humiliation is just painful to watch. 8 in the evening brings shower time, giving them mere minutes with basic soap and water. What Lee Min-soo absolutely cannot stand is that one tiny bar of soap is shared among 50 people. 9 in the evening brings the instructor's strict inspection and roll call time. The veterans and Lee Min-soo count off from 1 to 5 in order, but when it is the white-haired guy's turn, he shockingly makes a loud barking sound. This is clearly the result of a threat from those inmates. If he does not comply, he will get severely beaten after the inspection ends, and if he does obey, he will get beaten by the strict instructors. Whichever choice the white-haired guy makes, he cannot avoid a painful beating, but the white-haired guy can tell a brief beating is far more humane than prolonged mental torture. After the inspection, lights go out at 10 in the evening, finally ending the day. At this moment, Lee Min-soo's heart is filled with heavy, conflicting emotions, keeping him awake because the miserable white-haired guy sleeping right next to him is quietly crying. A senior inmate angrily snaps, asking why he is crying like a human. White hair instantly covers his mouth, sobbing while forcing out quiet, muffled squeaking noises. Life inside this harsh correctional facility starts incredibly early for everyone. 5:30 in the morning is the dreaded hour for chores and inspection. By 6, guards arrive with breakfast, and Min-soo wonders about their routine. He asks curiously why they are not eating in the main cafeteria. The bald senior inmate explains their afternoon outdoor training schedule. Today they eat indoors. They even got actual spoons. Min-soo then speaks up, asking where the pet dog went during mealtime. Hearing this, the senior inmates all point underneath the breakfast table. Min-soo freezes. Their actual table is a human back. Moon Hyunjin mutters that since he is working, he deserves some food. The bald senior chuckles, promising to treat Bobby like a real friend. A tattooed senior chimes in, laughing about their amazing brotherly bond. With a cruel grin, they scrape all their leftover scraps together. They stir the disgusting mush into a special dog meal for their pet. Hyunjin is utterly repulsed, but the sheer fear of a beating stops him. He slowly lowers his head to eat, until Min-soo suddenly makes a wild move. Min-soo kicks the food tray away, shouting at him to stop eating that garbage. The seniors freeze. Min-soo demands if Hyunjin really considers himself a dog. But Hyunjin shows no gratitude. There is only paralyzing terror on his face. You can feel his pure terror. He knows what happens if he fails. The long-haired boss, Gusihyun, steps forward with a cold, menacing warning. He explains that this prison runs on a strict hierarchy newcomers must respect. If Minsu hates the rules, he has to fight to become the king. But first, he must defeat Bobby to earn that right. If Minsu loses, he will take his place as the room's new dog. Minsu internally scoffs. This whole hierarchy system is incredibly childish. But he completely misses the desperate, predatory gleam flashing in Hyunjun's eyes. Before Minsu can even speak, Hyunjun's heavy fist crashes into his face. Hyunjun knows this is his only ticket out of this pet dog hell. The surrounding seniors immediately erupt, cheering wildly for the sudden violence. They scream for Bobby to seize his chance and shed his rookie status. They mock Minsu, asking if he wants to become their brand new pet. Minsu realizes that dropping this match means falling to the absolute bottom. But Hyunjun is crying while fighting, which completely puzzles the young man. Meanwhile, Minsu's older brother, Waksung, arrives at their childhood orphanage. The director asks if he packed everything for his military enlistment tomorrow. Holding a worn penguin plushie, Waksung nods and says everything is ready. The director chuckles, remembering the two most infamous troublemakers around. Waksung was always getting into brutal street fights with other kids. The other children were terrified to even get close to their orphanage. But Waksung smiles, explaining that the director got the story entirely wrong. The kids never feared Waksung, they always feared Minsu. Minsu is a real unhinged monster when he finally snaps his limits. Back in the cell, Hyunjun tearfully begs for forgiveness while striking furiously. He refuses to remain Bobby, leaving Minsu battered and bruised on the floor. Hands on the ground, the bald senior, who was terrified a second ago after hearing Minsu was a killer, now shows his true colors, convinced Minsu has turned into Bobby. Not happy with just a beating, he throws insults, mocking him about how his parents abandoned trash like him. But the moment those words escape his mouth, a devastating punch hits his face. As if a trigger word was hit, Minsu completely snaps. With a single strike, he sends the bald senior straight to sleep. Everyone else stands there absolutely stunned. Especially the white-haired Moon Hunjun, completely frozen in shock, just as Wukong warned Minsu is the real monster here. When enraged, Minsu has only one thought: he wants to turn everyone here into Bobby, just as promised. They will all become the new Bobby, but suddenly a senior kicks his back. 3 seniors gang up on him, turn them into Bobby. Are you out of your mind? They warn him to stop acting tough. This room belongs to the real fighters. They claim they only went easy because he is an abandoned orphan. But before he can finish his sentence, Minsu shoves a plunger right into his mouth. With his trigger word hit, Minsu snaps, roaring at him to shut up. He delivers a brutal punch to the senior's face, snapping the plunger in 2. The other 2 seniors cannot just watch anymore and immediately charge forward. One starts to threaten him, but the chilling sight freezes them instantly. Minsu holds the shattered plunger like a deadly weapon, pointing it with the eyes of a psychopath. He dares them to try, asking if they have ever actually killed. Meanwhile, at a golf course, Councilman Kang smoothly swings his club while his loyal yes-men clap and flatter him. Nearby, Wukong is kneeling in silence. The councilman demands to know how he got his hands on that. Wukong replies that despite it being early, he is ready to enlist. Solving youth issues will benefit the councilman's political career. Hearing this, Councilman Kang merely chuckles. The guy trying to help him lost his medical school slot. He demands a clear explanation. Does this have to do with his brother locked up in the facility? Even if he enlists now, there is no guarantee he will get stationed there. At that, Wukong admits that is exactly why he is asking for his help, believing his powerful father can make anything happen. But the politician refuses to clean up his other son's mess. Just when Wukong believes he has been rejected, the councilman suddenly shifts his tone, offering a deal. If Wukong helps him secure the presidency, he might consider it. All Wukong needs to do is help his dad win. Meanwhile, back at the prison, Minsu growls like a savage wolf, asking the seniors if they are ready for their punishment. But in an instant, the senior he just took down springs back up and grabs Minsu in a tight chokehold. Seizing the opening, the bald senior viciously strikes Minsu in the head. With just one blow, the boy instantly goes silent, panicking that he might be dead. The 2 seniors instantly start blaming each other, but Minsu is just playing possum, bursting with sudden power. He delivers a vicious headbutt to his captor's chin, then instantly kicks the bald senior straight in the groin. In a flash, Minsu completely flips the script. That's when Guy Hyan steps up, wondering if the kid's trigger word is mother. Or maybe being abandoned makes him mad. How tragic. Does his mom even know that his own mother abandoned him to become a killer? Right as he finishes, Minsu lunges forward with a sharpened plunger handle, but Se-hyun catches it effortlessly. With a single hand, Minsu snarls, demanding an apology unless he wants to lose his eyes. Se-hyun mockingly asks why he should apologize. Is it for his mother abandoning him or for murder? Let's end this. With that, Se-hyun lets go and shouts that he was attacked first, then spins around, hands on head. Minsu still has no clue what is happening until he turns around and spots 3 guards armed with batons charging right at him, calling him a maggot for causing trouble instantly. The other inmates are already lining up against the wall, hands locked on their heads. A brutal beating. Guard reports state Minsu attacked his cellmates with a weapon and that someone was injured. The officer promises to write down all the details for the final report. The head instructor asks the cellmates, did they just stand by? Did Minsu start this alone? Everyone answers together, claiming he did. After hesitating, even the lackey named White Hair agrees. Then the instructor drags Minsu out the door like a lifeless dog. What awaits him is 15 days of solitary confinement. They call this place the punishment room, designed to isolate the worst troublemakers. The days spent inside here do not count toward the sentence. This means Minsu has basically just prolonged his own prison stay. Not only is he watched 24 hours a day, but he has to remain kneeling until bedtime, making things even worse. His hands and feet are bound. He is forced to eat like an animal, using his mouth. They only unbind him to use the toilet. But guess what? There is another disgusting problem. No toilet paper. He has to use the water faucet behind him to wash up. After 7, it is time for reflection. Even in isolation, he has to write apology letters. This time, Minsu writes twice as much as usual, but everything he writes details the traits of the seniors in his cell. He notes that everyone here is deeply twisted, but his ultimate target is the long-haired Se-hyun, no matter what. This bastard must go. Exhausted, Minsu eventually drifts off to sleep. He dreams of his childhood days. He and Waksung are standing right in front of a house swallowed by roaring flames. Suddenly, he wakes up crying, tears streaming down his face. Minsu slams his head against the floor, cursing. Damn it, he mutters. This miserable place keeps dragging up his worst nightmares and forcing them into his head. Now, Minsu is terrified of sleeping again, dreading that same horror. Soon, those 15 days end, and Minsu returns to his regular cell, glaring at the senior inmates with pure, explosive rage. But shockingly, the seniors smile and apologize, saying they went way too far. Previously, they even swear they will stop playing their twisted games. Seeing this, Minsu actually believes they might have changed, but the very moment he is about to accept their apology, a brutal kick slams into his head. Se-hyun. The striker mocks him, asking if the mama's boy missed him, too. Others pin Minsu down instantly. They jam a foul, dirty sock into his mouth to silence him, preventing any calls to the guards. Step by step, they drag Minsu straight toward the toilet. Se-hyun laughs that he is glad Minsu missed him. But unfortunately, someone else is even more eager to see you. With that, the bald bully slowly strips down and continues cornering Minsu inside the dirty bathroom. Just as Minsu fears the worst, a sudden shout cuts the tension. Boss Se-hyun turns to glare directly at the newly arrived guard, warning him to walk away because they have permission to do this. But the guard replies that nobody's permission counts. Consequences are coming. Walking over, the guard extends a hand to Minsu. The boy looks up and freezes instantly when he realizes that this new guard is actually Wukong. Wukong offers his hand, already having calculated a perfect path to escape. All Minsu has to do is follow it. Instead, he ignores him. Minsu bypasses Wukong and unleashes a brutal punch directly to the bully's jaw. Demanding to know what he was planning, Minsu knows the real enemy is not this bald lackey, but the room boss Se-hyun standing right here. Minsu drops into a fighting stance. He challenges Se-hyun directly. Meanwhile, the other 3 thugs surround Wukong, sizing up the young guard. They mock him for looking way too young. Still, every room has rules here, and those rules are allowed. They ask if he will follow them too. Wukong smiles, asking if they mean the rule where they fight. The thugs smirk smugly. They warn him not to play the guard card later. Wukong gives them a slight nod, indicating he is a man of honor. Meanwhile, Minsu is already trading blows on the other side of the room. He swings wildly, yet he cannot touch Se-hyun at all. Se-yeon mocks him, pointing out he can barely even stand straight. Using this pause, Se-yeon casually turns to check on his three friends, only to discover that Wukong has already completely neutralized all of them. They did not even get a hit in, as Se-yeon stands frozen in shock. Minsu strikes, a heavy fist connects directly with Se-yeon's jaw. Minsu shouts triumphantly, warning him to focus only on their fight. Having taken the direct blow, angry veins start bulging on Se-yeon's forehead. He originally held back, hoping the kid would know when to quit. But now he decides to personally teach Minsu a brutal lesson. To show him what a real power gap looks like, he mentions Bobby. Minsu refuses to fall. He gets back up and kicks wildly. He does not care about Bobby. He was just another arrogant boss, acting recklessly and getting completely broken in the end. Minsu knows the massive gap in strength, but refuses to surrender. So he swings his fist again, calling Se-yeon the most pathetic bastard here. But his desperate charge fails. Se-yeon delivers a crushing counterattack. The room falls completely silent as all strength drains from Minsu's body. His mind fades to black, but he's still burning with rage. Cursing the man who insulted his mother, he barely landed a hit. And to make things worse, Wukong was there to witness everything. Wukong walks over and asks if he is still breathing, but Minsu just closes his eyes and passes out. Wukong can only sigh helplessly. He hoists the unconscious boy onto his shoulder as Se-yeon watches quietly. Determined, Wukong prepares to drag Minsu away, but the others demand to know where he is taking him. Wukong calmly answers that he is heading straight to solitary confinement for breaking the rules. Just then Gusion steps up and smiles, asking Wukong for a fight after that impressive display. Wukong warns him to take those words back immediately if he wants to avoid solitary himself. Besides, his own sister specifically begged them not to get into any fights. Hearing that name, Gusion freezes. Later, when Minsu wakes up, he finds himself back in solitary. Waking up inside the cold, solitary room, Minsu grinds his teeth in pure anger. He swears that next time, he is definitely shaving off all of Gusion's long hair. Suddenly, a sharp pain shoots through his gut, forcing him to squat over the toilet. After finishing, he turns the faucet, but not a single drop comes out. This means no washing his hands, but then he notices some toilet paper sitting nearby. Wait, is this solitary confinement or some kind of VIP treatment? Not only did they leave him toilet paper, but his hands and feet are completely unrestrained. Then he realizes he forgot something incredibly important. He punches the iron door in a panic, shouting at the guards standing outside. "How did you end up in a place like this?" he yells. "Are you completely insane? Why dump medical school for this place? You should be living happily with your stepfather. Forget playing the hero to save me. Get the hell out and stop worrying about a murderer. Why ruin your own life for a killer?" But Wukong just looks back at him calmly. No matter what anyone says, he replies, "I know you did not kill anyone. I know you're innocent, Minsu, because you're my brother." Then Wukong explains his plan. If Minsu just follows the plan, he can get out of this hellhole early. As long as he stops getting thrown into solitary like an idiot. Minsu agrees to the plan, but he has one major request before they start. He must fight that long-haired bastard again. Wukong asks why, knowing he will just lose. "Because that bastard insulted our mother," Minsu growls. Hearing those words, Wukong goes completely silent. Wukong falls completely silent, then he coldly whispers that he can tolerate anything else. But he will never forgive anyone who insults their mother, so he will teach Minsu how to win. However, if he loses to that trash again, Wukong swears he will kill him himself. Once the 15 days of solitary confinement end, Minsu returns to face the vicious seniors. But instead of fighting, he actually volunteers to be their next pet dog, dropping to the ground. This was the very first strategy the brothers discussed during those 15 days in isolation. Endure and submit, playing the fool until the perfect opportunity to strike back finally arrives. Just like that, Minsu becomes their next plaything, and yes, it is as humiliating as it sounds. The seniors casually use him to play a board game, but after just 1 hour, Minsu snaps. He snaps, leaping up with a furious roar, startling the seniors. The thugs glare at him viciously, asking if he has already changed his mind. Do they need to teach him his place again? Hearing this, Minsu's veins bulge with rage. He desperately wants to tear these guys apart, but he promised Wukong he would endure. He must hold back for just 5 days. After that, even if the warden tries to interfere, Waksung will clear the obstacles and set the perfect stage for Minsu's absolute revenge. Until that moment, his only job is to play the good dog and swallow his pride. Gritting his teeth, Minsu drops back down. He offers his bare abdomen as the board, telling them to start a new game. By day 2, he learns to crawl and clean like a spider. By day 3, he and Whitehair. The Bobbies work together on the seniors' essays. By day 4, Minsu is basically peeing like a dog, even eating the sickening slop prepared by those seniors while shouting that it is delicious, if he can just survive today. This hell finally ends, but the disgusting mixed food still makes him throw up in the bathroom. Whitehair kindly stops him, offering a sweet candy. Far too weak, smiling warmly, he slips Minsu a candy, warning him not to say a word or they will both get beat. Just play along, survive. Do not think, just endure. Minsu honestly has no clue how to process this unexpected kindness, especially since his time as Bobby ends tonight. But then, disaster strikes. Trouble always finds a crazy way to strike during outdoor activities. The seniors are playing frisbee, treating Minsu and Whitehair like actual dogs. Fetching the disc, Whitehair accidentally crashes headfirst into members of the kitchen crew. Those thugs glare with total fury. What is your problem? Want to fight? Trembling, Whitehair asks if they want to play too. Nearby, Si-hun is just lounging on the ground, wondering how Wukong actually knows his sister. Suddenly, a loud shout shatters his peace. 3 kitchen staff bullies surround him, asking if this dog on the dirt is his. Can he not control his own pet? Was this on purpose? Do they want to start a war with the kitchen crew, seeing their guy getting shoved? Minsu's seniors quickly step up, rolling their sleeves and demanding an apology. If they want war, bring it, we are not afraid. But then Si-hun steps in, telling them to forget it. Do not blow this up, act rationally, there is no need to escalate. Hearing this, the angry kitchen crew senior sneers, then delivers a brutal kick directly to Whitehair's head. Your rationality honestly ticks him off. Seeing this, the room seniors immediately turn away and look the other way. They feel fighting a whole kitchen gang over a single Bobby is not worth the trouble. Minsu asks if the guards actually care about this kind of violence. The seniors tell him the guards never care about these petty squabbles. They just let the inmates handle it themselves. Hearing this, Minsu's expression darkens as he stands paralyzed, torn. On one side is that single sweet candy Whitehair gave him earlier. On the other side is his strict promise to Wukong about their master plan. In the end, he decides to look away coldly. Meanwhile, the cruel kitchen boss keeps beating Whitehair, laughing that their stupid pet dog is incredibly fun too. Trash, he asks if he can borrow him for a few days to play around, but suddenly, flying frisbee smacks hard into his face. The kitchen crew senior collapses instantly. Completely blindsided, the shocked seniors turn around to see the thrower and freeze in disbelief. It is Minsu who ultimately chose compassion. He yells at them, calling them mindless thugs who came here after causing trouble outside, wanting to repeat that garbage behavior here. To him, they are nothing but mindless cattle, completely stripped of any real dignity or pride. That is why they only target the weak. Just as Minsu bends down to pull Whitehair back up, Si-hun suddenly steps in front of him. He repeats, do not get involved. Can they not even understand basic human words? Right then, the red-haired kitchen bully marches over and violently grabs Si-hun by his shoulder. He demands to know what this means, asking if they are declaring war on the kitchen gang. Si-hun tells him to declare war, but first, he must handle his internal issues. Hearing there is a fight, the delinquents immediately gather. They form a tight circle to watch. Minsu knows he already broke his promise, but he will keep the second. Si-hyun asks if he wants a beating. Minsu fearlessly responds by proposing a bet. Whoever wins becomes the room boss. Inside, Wukong has already handled everything in the classroom. Since the kids here are minors, basic classes are scheduled weekly. During these specific class times, the classroom supervisor holds absolute authority. Whatever happens is entirely up to the supervisor. Wukong managed to secure this position for today's lesson. His plan is simple. Minsu must defeat Si-hyun right now. The duel was supposed to happen in a tight battlefield formed by several desks. But where are they? Wukong checks his watch, puzzled. The time has come. Why are the main characters not here yet? A loud commotion outside suddenly catches his attention. Wukong looks out and sighs. The fight has already started. He leans out the window, yelling that Minsu is an idiot. During 15 days in solitary, Wukong drilled him on the same combo. First a hook, second a liver punch, third an uppercut. Fourth a mid-kick, front kick, and roundhouse. Follow with a leg sweep, then finish with a straight punch. But this combo alone is not enough to defeat Si Hyun. Si Hyun's techniques are flashy, but they lack real substance. There is no flow. Minsu had to master the timing. The plan required fighting in a custom-arranged classroom. They needed corners and desks to trap him, limiting his movement. Once cornered, the combo would definitely hit and defeat Si Hyun. But right now, Minsu has completely ruined the entire plan. Wukong rushes downstairs, annoyed by his brother's usual stubbornness. When he arrives, a thick wall of delinquent kids blocks him. He cannot see the action, meaning his plan is dead. He must use his authority as a guard to stop this battle immediately. But then a piece of popcorn suddenly flies toward him. The superintendent questions him, asking why Wukong is ruining his fun. Wukong immediately salutes, introducing himself as the new guard, Kang Wukong. He explains the kids are fighting, but the superintendent scolds him. Why stop them? Has Wukong ever watched wildlife documentaries? Suppose a hungry snake in that program wants to eat a mouse. Does the camera crew stop it? No, because it is natural. The snake eating the mouse is just the order of things. Do not interfere, my friend. Watching them fight is highly entertaining. Seeing this crazy behavior, Wukong can only follow orders. Meanwhile, Minsu keeps trying to land the combo Wukong taught him. But he still cannot manage to hit Si Hyun at all. Instead, Minsu gets punched in the face again and again. Just as Wukong said, without a wall, the combo is useless. The massive gap in raw power forces Minsu to rely solely on his combo. But fighting like a soulless empty shell, completely useless. Sehun instantly exploits the opening, sending him flying with a brutal kick. Minsu crashes into the crowd. The spectators immediately rain down vicious insults. Wukong covers his face in deep dismay. He hopes his brother will surrender. That way they can quietly retreat and plan a future comeback. Knocked into the crowd, Minsu only feels blinding pain in his knee. History is repeating. Surrendering starts to sound like a pretty good option. He wants to quit, but a rough hand shoves Minsu back out. The angry crowd yells, "Stop spacing out and get back in the fight." Giving up means answering to them. Sehun watches with his hands in pockets. He sneers, "What is this mama's boy doing, looking for mommy?" Hearing this, Minsu chuckles. A wild plan is already forming in his mind. Sehun asks what is so funny. Minsu says it is nothing. He just found a way to beat the absolute hell out of him now. The crowd erupts as they return. Sehun yawns. Playtime is over. Minsu stretches a bit, announcing it is time to finally settle this score. Knowing how to fight is one thing, luring Sehun over is the challenge. Wukong previously warned him that his current strength alone would not work. Cornering him is impossible. They must enrage Sehun to make him attack blindly. He needs him close to the corner. Fortunately, Wukong shared a secret. A secret guaranteed to trigger him. Minsu shouts at Sehun with a smug grin. He asks what he thinks of Jumin's looks. Instantly, Sehun snaps. Blinded by pure fury, he throws a massive punch at Minsu. The bait worked. Before the punch connects, Minsu blocks it in advance. Bracing with his palm, Minsu immediately grabs the guy's hair. He yanks hard, twisting his body to instantly shift the entire situation. Minsu mocks him. "Looks like your sister," is a very touchy subject. Sehun thinks this hit is just a fluke, but as he tries to move. Instead, he discovers his path is completely blocked by the surrounding crowd. He cannot dodge. He is forced to take every single hit. Minsu's fists continuously strike his head. Any hope of counterattacking is gone. The crowd behind him blocks any escape. There is absolutely no leverage. And just like that, Sehun realizes he fell right into a trap. Dodging is totally impossible with the heavy crowd behind him. Escaping the human wall means taking Minsu's heavy blows directly. He is basically a sitting duck, forced to raise both of his arms just to survive. Just as Sehun spots a tiny window to strike back, Minsu acts first. He hits his leg joint with a fierce sidekick, breaking his stance. Now Minsu chains endless combo techniques, releasing days of bottled-up rage. Sehun is swaying, but Minsu knows he cannot stop the assault. He cannot give his opponent even a single second of breathing room. The relentless barrage strikes Sehun's body until his consciousness begins to fade. He knows he cannot take any more blows. His next hit must connect. It is completely over, but his sluggish swings are slow and powerless. He's slow as a snail, losing any chance at a desperate counterattack. Minsu warned him never to insult his mother, the mere thought bringing pure rage. Watching this weakling completely turn the tables, the crowd gets absolutely wild. Rage-fueled and completely berserk, Minsu keeps screaming with every single punch. He warns them not to judge other mothers when they don't know the truth. He keeps swinging until a final punch misses, realizing Sehun is already out cold. As the former boss collapses to the ground, everyone's jaws instantly drop. The three senior inmates look especially shaken by Sehun's sudden defeat. This defeat means Minsu is the new room boss, though he remains completely exhausted and furious. He still can't understand why Sehun refused to apologize before passing out. Suddenly, the crowd of young delinquents parts to make a wide path. The powerful superintendent walks right through, leading a menacing squad of guards. He admits he never expected the kid to win, finding this outcome highly entertaining. The animal kingdom is wild, especially when a weak mouse beats a snake. While a gasping Minsu struggles to understand his words, the superintendent leans right in. Whispering in his ear, he calls him a mouse who relies on cheap tricks. Hearing those heavy words, Minsu can only respond with small, terrified noises. Just then, Wukong steps in and picks up the unconscious Sehun. He asks the superintendent what they should do with the defeated boss next. The cold response is simple: just toss him directly into solitary confinement. Wukong acts quickly, passing Minsu while complaining about how disobedient the kid is. Asking who he takes after, Minsu just smiles and whispers that maybe he takes after his older brother. Although their plan hit a major bump, they successfully avoided real danger. With the first step out of the way, they can now trigger Phase 2. A day later in a quiet art studio, Guinam asks about Wukong's brother ending up in solitary. Wukong apologizes sincerely, explaining that things spiraled way out of their control. Guinam tells him to stop moving, keeping him focused on his role. He's currently posing as her live human model for an upcoming painting project. Feeling the strain, Wukong asks how much longer he has to hold this stiff pose. Guinam smiles and says she's finished, hoping this piece secures her top art school admission. But when Wukong finally looks at the canvas, his face instantly twists with pure anger. He demands to know how this absolute mess is supposed to be art. Guinam then warns him that Minsu is heading straight for trouble with the kitchen crew. She spent time on the girls' section kitchen crew back when she was inside. This meant she occasionally crossed paths with the boys' section kitchen crew. Based on her memory, those kitchen boys are a dangerously tight-knit group. If you mess with one, the rest will relentlessly hunt you down one by one. Above all, there is one terrifying leader to watch out for. That would be kitchen crew boss Jang Dobo, whom Minsu is about to meet. Jang Dobo dumps extra side dishes onto Minsu's plate with a fake smile. Within seconds, the messy liquid from the food completely overflows the entire tray. Minsu frowns and points out that this is getting way too out of hand. Jang Dobo smirked and called it normal, noting Minsu had offended his crew. Facing this blatant provocation from the kitchen boss, Minsu keeps his cool. He simply chooses to play dumb, looking completely confused by the treatment. Is he absolutely sure about this? A very embarrassed Jang Dobo asks if this guy is actually Lee Minsu. He admits to it but quickly suggests it could be another person. It is a common name after all. Embarrassed by his mistake, Jang Dobo orders his crew to verify. But his right-hand man points directly at Lee Minsu and loudly yells that it is definitely him, but the target has already bolted right out of the cafeteria. Running fast, he congratulates himself on dodging a massive bullet. Meanwhile, a massive, high-level summit is currently taking place. Rival political leaders meet with President Han Mansu. They are supposed to actually help the public instead of fight. Kang Wukong's very own stepfather is one of them. President Han Mansu looks at Councilman Kang and says it has been a long time since they faced off as rivals during the presidential election, but now he needs to fall in line as a good subordinate. With that smug comment, he slaps Councilman Kang on the backside. News cameras instantly flash to catch this incredibly tense moment. Councilman Kang completely freezes. Can you even believe the sheer disrespect? He slapped him on national television. The humiliation instantly enrages the councilman. His heavy fist flies into Han Mansu's face, well, only in his imagination, since he's actually just venting his intense frustration on a punching bag with the president's face taped on it. Afterward, he Asks the person standing behind him how he can watch his father suffer this terrible embarrassment. That silent person is his son, Kang Wukong, the young man says. That destroying the president is actually going to be simple. All they need to do is target his political foundation, the Youth Rehabilitation Center. Hearing this, the furious councilman Kang lines in and asks him how far along he has gotten with his infiltration. Kang Wukong explains that from all the horrific things he has witnessed inside the facility lately, it is clear the reality is nothing like the shining institution the president promised the public. Behind closed doors, guards force kids to fight each other, terrible abuse runs rampant, and they encourage violent fights just for their own sick amusement. The real truth is that the facility is not a rehabilitation center at all. It is a literal living hell. Hearing this, Councilman Kang claps in delight. This terrible correctional facility is the president's absolute weakness. Kang Wukong nods, claiming that simply leaking these secrets to the media would easily bring him down, but his stepfather warns him not to rush. This alone isn't nearly enough. These kids are criminals anyway, so the public might want them to suffer. Besides, the president could easily apologize and promise to improve their human rights. To truly destroy him, the boy needs to dig up something far more explosive. Meanwhile, the guards have ordered a painful crab punishment today. The boys have to painfully bend their bodies backwards like crawling crabs. This is a favorite sick game for the cruel superintendent. Lee Min-soo folds his shaking body, cursing the guards in his mind while wondering when this torture will finally end. He is right at his limit when a guard suddenly steps next to him. His nerves instantly tense up. Crab position, he groans, but seeing the guard brings a massive wave of relief. That guard is Wukong, who immediately orders him out for some solo training. Min-soo is absolutely thrilled, fully expecting some very easy special treatment. Oh, he is in for a very rude awakening here. Instead, he is forced to balance painfully on his stomach with limbs raised. Wukong quietly apologizes, explaining that he cannot make it look too easy. Otherwise, the other inmates will get suspicious and start complaining to management. Min-soo grumbles, accusing his supposed friend of making things 10 times worse. Wukong quickly hushes him to explain the second phase of their plan. This rehabilitation facility runs on a strict reward and punishment system where finishing tasks earns you positive points, while breaking the rules gets those points quickly deducted. Reaching 100 points means qualifying for an early parole review. Keep losing them and you stay locked up. Right now, your score is -50. 2 stints in solitary and a massive brawl left you completely broke. Min-soo desperately asks how to earn them, so Wukong pulls out a sheet. It is an application. The fastest way to stack up points right now is volunteering to help the kitchen crew, but Min-soo knows the danger. He already crossed the kitchen leader, so going there now is suicide. It is basically walking straight into a lion's den. He thrashes on the floor, screaming that he would rather rot here forever than let those kitchen guys kill him. Wukong sighs, promising to find some other task to earn those points. That grueling afternoon of extra training leaves Min-soo completely physically shattered. But just as he is drifting off, an irritating buzzing sound begins. Losing his temper, Min-soo slams the table and demands complete silence. Who is making those incredibly annoying mouth noises? It turns out to be 3 veteran inmates on cleaning duty. Whitehair is among them too. Having lost his top status to Min-soo, he is back to sweeping. An inmate explains that the noises help him work, telling Min-soo to relax. Min-soo rests his head on his hand, knowing this path is way too slow. Sweeping a single classroom only yields a single miserable reward point. Reaching 100 points like this would take him a literal lifetime. Suddenly, 2 guards slide the door open to check on their progress. When Min-soo says they are almost finished, the guard orders him to move out. Someone has apparently signed him up for extra volunteer work elsewhere. Min-soo beams, assuming his guard buddy secured him an easy, safe job. He cheerfully salutes, but that happy smile completely vanishes the second he arrives. He has been assigned straight to the dreaded and ruthless kitchen crew unit. Talk about worst-case scenarios. Did they not literally agree to avoid this? Meanwhile, kitchen leader Jang Dobo once dreamed of being the nation's top chef. Years of brutal training let him swing a heavy 3-kilogram pan. He can effortlessly toss 2 kilograms of heavy ingredients with ease. His other hand is for precision work. Insulting his food is dangerous. To insult his cooking is to mock the chef himself. Punks who complain about his cafeteria food get a terrifying, deadly stare. But Jang Dobo has to hold himself back, knowing there is absolutely nothing he can do. In this kitchen, nobody comes close to his elite level. Everyone else is a complete joke. They're literally setting their pans on fire, screaming, or showing off charred pots of black liquid that they swear they can turn into cooking oil. It is just endless pots of terrible disasters. Seeing all these ingredients wasted absolutely breaks his heart. He begs them to stop, holding back tears, even though he wants to destroy these idiots right now. They are still his team, so all Jang Dobo can do is endure them. But today, Lee Min-soo is a different story. He insulted the entire crew. If Lee Min-soo is as terrible at cooking as the others, Jang Dobo will gladly settle all their scores under the pretext of teaching him how to cook. Excitedly, he grabs a heavy iron pot and charges straight at Lee Min-soo, but Lee Min-soo easily whips up two simple homestyle meals inside the prison. The angry leader who wanted to crush him just a moment ago is left speechless. Jang Dobo forgets all about swinging that pot. Instead, he joyfully sweeps Lee Min-soo into the air, weeping and shouting that he always knew this day would come. Suddenly, Lee Min-soo is not just the new prison cell boss, but also Jang Dobo's absolute favorite person. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew eating in the back are deeply annoyed by this sudden bromance. A guy suggests tricking Jang Dobo and Lee Min-soo into a massive brawl, but with Jang Dobo's worshipful attitude, that is impossible. Their only remaining option is to sneak absolute trash into Lee Min-soo's food, ruin the flavor completely, and destroy Jang Dobo's high opinion of him. Following a quick talk, they all grin and get ready to strike, but right at this second, the heavy door swings open, making their eyes go wide with pure terror. It is guard Kang Wukong, who smirks and says he always wondered why their food supplies kept vanishing, revealing that these rats were behind it. Now that they've been caught stealing, they'll pay, but the kitchen crew members couldn't care less about his threats, actually swearing back at him. Who does this guard think he is, invading kitchen crew turf? But before they even finish their sentence, in just 2.5 seconds, they are slammed onto the floor. The idiots trying to ruin Lee Min-soo are instantly crushed. Even though Kang Wukong doesn't know who sent Lee Min-soo to the kitchen crew, the guy seems to be doing surprisingly well. Meanwhile, inside the warden's office, two guards arrive. Eagerly, if they ended up fighting. Hearing that they didn't, his cheerful expression immediately sours. Getting Lee Min-soo assigned to the kitchen and ordering the crew to ruin him were all part of his personal plan. They offer a careful omelet to appease him, rice dish to calm him down. Elsewhere, Jang Dobo is busy gathering his entire kitchen crew together. He barks out, asking if they are ready for the big monthly celebration. Right after that, he pulls out a big bar of soap and grates it into a metal pot. He pours in tons of olive oil, adding more than double the volume of the grated soap before heating the whole mix in a double boiler. Next, while dusting in some finely ground roller powder, he squeezes in fresh orange juice for a shot of vitamin E, stirring it all vigorously, using his powerful arms to finish. Soon, a pot of thick, moisturizing, delicious looking liquid is ready. Jang Dobo quickly explains this is not actual food. It is the kitchen crew's natural hair wax for their special monthly routine. They do this monthly, though Min-soo still cannot fathom why they need it. Styling hair is essential today because a fresh shipment of supplies is arriving. More importantly, they finally get to see the ladies from the women's prison. Each month, the cafeteria gets deliveries that must be shared with them. Specifically, they coordinate with the female correctional facility's kitchen crew. It is basically the sole perk of working in the kitchen. On this day, they prep their hair to look mature, flexing their muscles while carrying cargo to show off. But Min-soo gets totally different treatment when a group of girls surrounds him. They praise his cute looks and beg to help him. Observing from afar, Jang Dobo burns with pure envy. He assumes Min-soo is simply slacking off and flirting. But right then, a small girl taps Jang Dobo on his shoulder, drawing his attention. She slips him a secret letter, telling him to hide it before her leader notices. Snatching the envelope, Jang Dobo's face turns bright red as his heart races. He is on cloud 9, watching her make a shushing gesture before walking away. In his head, he is already walking down the aisle and planning their future. He even imagined their 5 future children as tears of absolute joy stream down. But as he opens the envelope to read, his expression freezes completely. He turns deathly pale because that romantic letter is actually not for him. It is addressed to the grade room boss, Lee Minsu. Meanwhile, Minsu is working. He is gasping for air in the storage room, completely exhausted from lifting cargo. He wonders why the other lazy kitchen idiots forgot about doing their actual jobs. Left alone to carry everything, he finally gets up to head somewhere else. Suddenly, Jang Dobo looms directly behind him, demanding to know his identity. Confused, Minsu confirms his title. That is when Jang Dobo corners him aggressively. He asks if Minsu knows the significance of November 22nd. Minsu has no idea. Jang Dobo's veins bulge as he snaps that it is his wedding anniversary 3 years later. He demands to know if Minsu recognizes the name Ye, making Minsu deeply uneasy. Sensing danger, Minsu asks what happened, but Jang Dobo roars that Yi is the fifth child. If Minsu had not betrayed him, she would have been a sweet girl. With a ponytail in this world, with that, Jang Dobo raises a massive fist. He charges forward, screaming that Minsu stole his wife. Minsu quickly raises his hands. He desperately protests his innocence, but Jang Dobo's heavy fist is already flying fast. With absolutely no other choice, Minsu barely ducks. The strike obliterates an iron cart, nearly splitting his skull. Minsu still has no idea what is happening. Facing a monster who wants him dead, he fights back. But Jang Dobo suddenly grabs his ankle and slams him hard onto the concrete. The giant tries to throw another strike, but the metal cart blocks his path. Minsu seizes the brief opening and lunges forward, throwing a quick counterpunch. But before he can land it, a brutal counterblow strikes him down instantly. The difference in their raw power is just too massive to overcome. Minsu cannot get close to him at all, taking even one of those heavy hits feels just like getting slammed by a massive boulder. Right then, Jang Dobo breaks completely free from the cart restraints and ruthlessly hammers punches at Minsu, shouting about taking so young on a romantic hiking date up Bukin Mountain. Before long, Minsu is cornered. Flat against the wall, but trust me, this kid is already cooking up a counterplan. When Jang Dobo swings another devastating fist, Minsu snatches a heavy iron pot off the ground to block it, shouting that your date plan is trash, and he does not even know So Young. With that, he wraps both arms around Jang Dobo's waist, summoning every last ounce of his strength to hoist him up and shove him back into the corner, hoping to use the trick he used to defeat Gusi Hun. Simple but effective. Well, maybe not. He cannot budge the giant even an inch. Instead, Jang Dobo grabs Minsu by the head and hoists him straight into the air, roaring that Minsu stole his pure love and his children's future, so he must die right now. In this critical split second, Minsu swipes a heavy bag of flour, smashing it right into Jang Dobo without a second thought. Meanwhile, the girls working in the kitchen complain that the work is far too exhausting, grumbling that they have never even washed dishes at home, but now must act like professional chefs. Nearby, a girl sorting through supply spots an extra unmarked box in their inventory, realizing it belongs to the boys' correctional facility. She asks if someone should drop it off, but before she can even finish her sentence, another girl snaps that if they need it, they can come get it themselves. Besides, Jang Dobo is terrifying, and there is absolutely no way she is risking going over. Another girl agrees, mentioning she heard he once beat a guy named Chang-Su so badly he was kicked out of the facility, just when nobody wants to deliver it. A black-haired girl steps up and volunteers to take the box. She's willing to go. In fact, she actually finds Jang Dobo kind of cute. Meanwhile, back in the storage room, a brutal game of cat and mouse is underway. Minsu uses his smaller, agile build to navigate the tight space perfectly, constantly running circles around Jang Dobo. Before long, the big man's stamina is completely shot. Gasping for air, he wheezes for Minsu to come face his doom. Making it quick, but then, a raw, messy egg splats right onto his forehead. Minsu grabs an entire tray of eggs and pelts him relentlessly, covered in sticky yellow yolk. Jang Dobo is utterly furious. With a single savage squeeze of his hand, he crumples a solid metal kettle like paper and begins hurling everything in sight. Minsu ducks and weaves, screaming that throwing heavy stuff like that is going to literally kill someone, but the raging giant has completely lost all sanity. He grabs a heavy pot filled with boiling hot oil and hurls it straight at him. Right then, the cheerful black-haired girl slides open the storage door, only to see boiling oil flying directly at her face. Seeing this, Jang Dobo freezes in absolute horror, but in a split second, Minsu lunges forward and tackles her using his back to shield the terrified girl from the blistering wave. Later, Kang Wukong receives the frantic news and sprints to the infirmary as fast as his legs can carry him, quickly finding Minsu's designated cot. He violently rips open the medical curtain, but the sight waiting for him freezes. The blood in his veins because the boy lying on the mattress is a literal skeleton. Naturally, this is just a stupid prank Minsu is playing. At that exact second, Wuksong's face twists with raw, terrifying fury. Seeing him so mad, Minsu quickly jokes about the boiling oil. Otherwise, he would be a pile of bones. Wuksong pulls him close. He gently strokes his head, whispering that he is glad Minsu is safe. After talking, Wuksong flatly rejects Minsu's plan to return to the kitchen. He scolds him, after everything that happened, you still want to go back. Minsu protests, is this not the fastest way to earn points as promised? Besides, he trusts Wuksong to train him to finally defeat Zhang Dobo. Wuksong helplessly scratches his hair. Fine, he has to agree. Using his guard status, Wuksong applies to the superintendent for a punishment. This harsh method is actually a cover to train Minsu. Since Zhang Dobo belongs to a massive weight class, training is brutal. To stand a chance, Minsu must start with pure strength building. He pushes heavy stones with his legs, then drags massive iron cones. Finally, if he can budge this giant stone block even slightly, there is hope. Only then can he defeat Zhang Dobo. Meanwhile, Gaiyun sits in solitary. Locked in isolation for a week, Gaiyun still cannot understand his defeat. How did he lose to Minsu? The kid could not even hit him. He blames his own carelessness. In a rematch, he would definitely win. But right now, he has a much more pressing emergency to handle. The toilet paper is gone, and the water has been completely cut. He has already shredded half of his shirt sleeves to clean himself. With no options left, he rips another piece, staring at the cloth. He wonders what on earth he will use when this piece is gone. Suddenly, a roll of toilet paper lands at his feet. Stop using rags. Clean up properly with this. Wuksong tells him to hurry up. Wuksong is coming in, but when he opens the door, it is empty. Suddenly, Seiyan lunges from behind, demanding to know how he knows his sister. With a wild roar, he throws a punch at Wuksong. Wuksong catches the fist instantly, using professional restraint techniques. Seiyan is pinned, completely shocked by the guard's absurd strength. As Seiyan braces himself, Wuksong raises a heavy, massive fist. Seiyan squeezes his eyes shut, ready to take a brutal beating. But Wuksong does not strike. Instead, he smiles, pulling out his phone. He dials Seaman's number. Why not ask your sister directly? If you are so curious, get the answers straight from her. When the call actually connects, Seiyan is frozen in absolute disbelief. He asks how they have Seaman's phone and if she is free. Seaman does not answer directly. She tells Wuksong to cover his ears. She has a few things to say. Wuksong quickly covers his ears. The moment his hands are up, Seaman instantly unleashes absolute fury. Her brutal, furious words immediately tear Seiyan's soul to shreds. Her screaming voice keeps blasting through the phone without stopping. Unable to take the heat, Seiyan tremblingly hangs up the phone. Hearing absolute silence at last, Wuksong lowers his hands, asking how Seiyan ended up in this place. Seihan looks utterly defeated. He simply mutters that he is just tired. He asks if Wuksong is working with Seaman and if he is Minsu's brother. He asks if Wuksong taught Minsu how to fight, and Wuksong confirms it. Hearing the confirmation, Seihan's face immediately lights up with hope. He promises to follow Wuksong's lead, begging the man to teach him to fight. Teach him? A month later, the kitchen staff are feeling completely frustrated. Ever since Jiangdu fought Minsu, he has been acting like a complete zombie. Because of this, the kitchen crew is constantly getting punished for burning the food. If this keeps up, they will all get kicked out of the kitchen very soon. Suddenly, Minsu kicks the door wide open and steps inside, catching their attention. Seeing him, the veins on Jiangdu's forehead bulge, as his rage immediately boils over. Days shattered, he snaps, roaring that it is all Minsu's fault. He vows to kill him, but stops in his tracks when Minsu speaks up. Minsu asks if he wants to know why, and a curious Jiangdu demands answers. Minsu mockingly sneers that it is simply because Jiangdu is ugly as hell. Rage ignited, the giant's temporary calm shatters and his anger explodes. The kitchen staff watching this are terrified, wondering if Minsu has lost his mind. How could he dare to provoke a monster like Jiangdu? Someone is going to die. Facing the furious giant, Minsu keeps throwing insults to egg him on. Just like before, Minsu runs circles around him, completely draining his stamina. Soon, the brainless Jiangdu has burned through most of his massive strength. Out of options, the furious Jiangdu leaps onto a table to strike from above. But Minsu easily dodges, letting the heavy fist crash straight into an iron pillar. Stuck, the brute's explosive right fist is now trapped inside the metal post. At that moment, Minsu intentionally takes a blow from the giant's left hand. He wants to bait Jiangdu into lowering his guard, pretending he is still weak. Seizing the perfect opening, Minsu grabs Jiangdu's left arm with both hands. Got you, he thinks to himself that the brainless idiot fell right into his trap. With a sudden burst of power, Minsu drives his legs into the ground. He brutally twists Jiangdu's left arm joint all the way up to his head. Brainless fool, he is about to get exactly what he deserves. Meanwhile, the superintendent sits in the mess hall, eagerly waiting for his food. Server mode, Wuksung arrives presenting a special meal for the superintendent. He serves up a beautifully steamed dish made entirely from fresh Alaskan cod. Seeing the rare fish, the superintendent is absolutely thrilled with excitement. He never expected such luxury here. Next, Wuksung pours him a special drink. The superintendent takes a slow sip, savoring it like a fine wine. But of course, the real entertainment is the chaotic fight happening right now. Left hand pinned, Jiangdu is helpless but still tries to talk tough. He sneers that Minsu is finally standing his ground instead of running away. But as he pulls his right hand free to launch a counterattack, he freezes. Useless arms, he realizes both of his limbs are completely trapped. His massive, overly muscular build makes it impossible to move his limbs freely. No mercy, Minsu rains a brutal barrage of punches straight into his face. Taking the heavy blows, a dazed Jiangdu wonders where Minsu learned to fight. Grappling techniques, Jiang Dobo asks if Minsu really thinks he can beat him with just that. He uses brute strength to throw Minsu off, but Minsu's stance locks him in place. He cannot push Minsu an inch, leaving himself completely open to constant face punches. A month ago, Wukong had already helped Minsu analyze the strategy and techniques. He needed this to defeat Jiang Dobo in Minsu's previous bout against Seun. The weight classes only differed by a single tier, allowing Minsu to win by cornering his opponent, but Jiang Dobo is a massive 3 weight classes heavier than him. Trying the exact same tactic against a giant like this is clearly impossible. Instead, Minsu has to pray he doesn't get cornered himself, gaining weight. Fast is completely out of the question. Think of it like this: if these massive boulders represent Jiang Dobo, how do you actually move or topple him? The answer lies in simple leverage. Even human limb movement relies on this exact principle. If Minsu can transform his own body into that lever, he can move this giant. He can push Jiang Dobo. Right now, absolute rage is burning deep inside the giant. No matter how much strength he uses, this punk does not budge a single inch. It leaves the giant taking a completely one-sided beating, watching from an upstairs window. Wukong asks the superintendent if this fight is exciting. The superintendent admits that it is somewhat interesting, but the final outcome is far too predictable. Looking closely at Jiang Dobo, the giant does not look hurt at all. Those skinny fists cannot possibly defeat such a massive opponent, and Minsu looks exhausted. At the end of the day, a massive weight gap cannot be ignored. Wukong smiles and proposes a wager, betting that Minsu will pull off the victory. Hearing this, the superintendent finds his interest instantly piqued. A wager. Sounds perfect, acknowledging that Wukong loves risky wagers, but Wukong knows that dismissing head strikes just because of a size difference is totally absurd. It makes no sense, looking at a standard boxing guard. The entire stance is built specifically to protect the face and head. The most fragile areas on any fighter are concentrated right there, where many vital points are clustered, and the absolute most critical target is the jaw. Landing a clean blow there rattles the brain, causing a fighter to instantly lose their balance. In street brawls, weight class matters, but elite technique is what ultimately clinches the victory. Right now, Jiang Dobo hallucinated his dream girl, So Young, waving him goodbye. As Minsu delivers a devastating final punch to the face, his imaginary wife and 5 imaginary kids completely vanish. The onlookers watch in disbelief as Jiang Dobo crashes down. The superintendent gasps in utter shock. Asking how Wukong knew the kid would win, Wukong simply attributes it to pure intuition. The superintendent walks away, warning Wukong to start thinking about his prize for winning. Back on the floor, Minsu is catching his breath after the grueling Battle relieved that it is finally over, but then he notices a mysterious letter that slipped out of Jang Dobo's pocket onto the floor. Opening the envelope, he discovers it is addressed to the class boss. Gui Haiyan, this love letter was never meant for Minsu at all. Jang Dobo thought the love letter was for him from Minsu, which is why Minsu is completely speechless after finding out why Jang Do wanted him dead. He endured brutal fights and endless misery just because of a total misunderstanding. Jang Do targeted the wrong guy. The ridiculous truth makes Minsu want to throw punches. But the kitchen crew guys hold him back, begging him to stay calm. Meanwhile, in a heavily secured cell, a few VIP inmates play cards. They complain that choosing the next top candidate is becoming a headache. First Gu Sihyun went down, then Jang Do. Is Minsu really that strong? Jang Do ruled the entire Gangyo area, but now that they lost 2 candidates, we have no choice but to activate our emergency backup plan. The first candidate is the notorious gang boss from the Daeandong district, construction leader Lee Kangmin. The second option is mechanic H. Wang Chul. But as soon as the names are listed, someone instantly raises a doubt. Lee Kangmin makes total sense, but why is H. Wang Chul even considered? He is not a leader, seeing that the blonde Lim Jaisu stays quiet. Someone asks why he is not picking a name. Jaisu finally speaks. He did not plan to get involved, but the chat caught his attention. So he decides to put Minsu forward as his personal nominee. This blonde powerhouse is Lim Jaisu, the ultimate king of this prison. After taking down Jang Do, Minsu is named the temporary kitchen chief. But stepping into this role makes him realize the absolute daily torment. These helpers of his are nothing but pure, mindless kitchen destroyers. They make the rice cookers explode and invent horrible food pairings. Worse, they place plastic electric kettles directly on fire and turn up heat. Minsu can only scream at them to stop. Soon, delivery day arrives. The quiet, black-haired girl named Sira, whom he rescued earlier, approaches him. She shyly thanks him for saving her life during that crazy incident. Minsu scratches his head, muttering that the oil was cold anyway. Suddenly, with a bright red face, she hands him a love letter. Having been rejected before, Minsu asks if it is actually for Gu Sihyun. Sira runs away in pure embarrassment, shouting that the letter is for him. When Minsu reads it and confirms his name, his mind goes blank. Never having a girlfriend in his life, his face quickly turns red. In his head, he is already picturing a blissful life with children. His cheeks burn red like a tomato, but Sira did not fall overnight. She had been watching Minsu long before he shielded her from danger. She first noticed him weeks ago, while taking a walk after dinner. That was the exact day Minsu went all out against Gu Sihyun. His fearless drive to protect others, mixed with those wild eyes, captivated her. He looked like a wild honey badger, and she could not stop worrying. So today, after her friends helped her dress up and encouraged her, she finally gathered enough courage to deliver her very first love letter. Now she only hopes he will have a proper response ready next time. Back in his cell, Minsu stares at the envelope with a massive grin. But when the older inmates hear the news, they are totally outraged. Calling him a traitor, they scream that even they never got a letter. The guys tease Minsu about having girlfriends, asking if one letter makes him that happy. He admits a love letter definitely makes him happy. Before this, he had only ever received letters from his mother or that other note meant for Sihan. He even invites the older inmates to read it with him. Meanwhile, on the other side, Wukong arrives at the warden's office, reporting for duty as Sergeant Kang. He heard the chief was looking for him. The warden notes he has been here for about 3 months, passing the early admissions to the elite army academy at record speed. On top of that, Wukong aced the sergeant exam with the highest scores in his class. The warden admits he is incredibly lucky to have someone this talented at the facility. Wukong immediately plays along, showing total loyalty to gain the warden's trust. He vows to work even harder, knowing this is the only way to help Minsu. Only by securing the warden's complete trust can he boost Minsu's prison evaluation score. But suddenly, the warden drops a bomb, asking about some interesting surveillance footage. The cameras show Wukong and Lee Minsu getting far too close lately. He demands to know their real relationship if Wukong wants to protect Minsu. And get him out of this place, he has to keep their brotherhood a secret. Since Wukong was adopted, absolutely no one knows they are actually blood brothers. Hearing this intense questioning, Wukong wonders if the warden has already figured it out. No way he can let him find out. The tension is absolutely insane. He needs an excuse, but the warden suddenly asks if they have a student-teacher bond. He saw Wukong teaching Li Minsu how to fight, which explains everything. No wonder Wukong made that bet. He knew his student would win the match. It turns out the guard is not just book-smart, but also incredibly lethal. Wukong quietly sighs in relief. He lies, saying Minsu just begged to get stronger. So Wukong simply agreed to train him. Still, the warden warns him to stay back. He warns Wukong not to get close to the trash. Wukong nods and leaves. He uses outdoor activity prep as an excuse to exit, but once Wukong is gone, the warden makes a call. Sensing something is off, he orders a background check. He wants to investigate Wukong. Meanwhile, locked in solitary confinement, Sihun finally breathes a sigh of relief, recalling the angry shouts over the phone earlier. He figures his sister has finally escaped this awful correctional facility. Meanwhile, Dobo is also locked in solitary, curling up in agony. He is trembling and crying, utterly bitter about that stupid love letter incident. He thinks it is completely unfair, placing all the blame on Minsu. Suddenly, Wukong opens the cell door and explains that none of this was actually Minsu's fault. Dobo cries out, screaming that Minsu stole his family and completely ruined his life. But the leader mentioned in that letter was never Minsu, it was Sihun. Hearing this, Dobo instantly changes his attitude, his sorrow turning to pure rage. He shouts an apology to Minsu, then curses Sihun, swearing that he is dead meat. Wukong tells him to calm down and pulls up a photo on his phone. He warns him not to jump to conclusions. When Dobo looks at the screen, he instantly recognizes the kitchen goddess Gu Simon, but his blood boils. Why is she posing with that bastard Sihun? Dobo vows to kill him once more. He swears to destroy Sihun for trying to steal his precious goddess, but then Wukong reveals they are actually siblings, and Dobo's mind goes completely blank. Which means Sehun is his brother-in-law, but as soon as he finishes speaking, Se-hyun, who heard the commotion from the opposite room, roars back at him to shut up. Calling him a pig, the two then start arguing fiercely from there. Opposite cells, with one telling Se-hyun to think of his own niece and nephew, while the other fires back intensely. Watching them bicker, Wukong finally relaxes. The trouble is mostly settled. Now, Minsu only needs to keep collecting points. But besides that, there is another mystery he needs to investigate. He must uncover the dark secrets the warden is hiding inside this facility, and this restricted detention block is currently his main lead, even as a guard entering. This zone is forbidden. Wukong is certain they are hiding something huge here. Sure enough, before he can think any longer, guards carry out a young inmate. And he spots another figure wearing a red prison uniform inside. Meanwhile, Minsu is washing up in the bathroom, staring at a tiny bar of soap with deep confusion. The soap is even smaller than before. How is he supposed to wash with this? But right then, someone behind him offers him a bottle of shampoo. Minsu takes it, completely baffled. How could someone get luxury shampoo inside a prison? So he asks Lim Jaisu, who is washing up nearby, how he got something like shampoo. On top of that, his uniform is red, and there is no grade badge on his chest. Jaisu introduces himself while instantly calling out Minsu. Minsu is completely caught off guard, asking how this stranger knows him, but right then, Jaisu suddenly leans right in. Minsu braces himself, expecting a sudden attack. Instead, Jaisu just pats Minsu on the head, teasing that he is smaller than expected. How did he manage to win those two fights? Minsu warns that the shampoo bought him a pass. But next, the blonde Jaisu leaves him with a highly cryptic warning. This time, he came looking for Minsu, but next time, Minsu will be the one searching for him, though it will not be easy. He promises to be waiting. With that, Jaisu casually walks away, leaving Minsu standing there entirely bewildered. Meanwhile, the two rivals in solitary finally stop their shouting match. Dubo demands to know how he could possibly lose. To Minsu asking why he let him win, Dubo snaps back, demanding why he lost too. Se-hyun admits he was careless, and that Minsu arrived fully prepared with a perfect counter-strategy. Dubo admits the exact same thing happened to him. He only wanted to play with Minsu, only to realize he had walked straight into a brilliant trap. Se-hyun points out that after these two major victories, the higher-ups must have noticed Minsu. Dubo agrees, noting they already ordered the kitchen crew to make a move against Minsu. They might even nominate Minsu as a candidate, but Se-hyun's response is shocking. He scoffs, promising to prove he is the true candidate, reach the top, and destroy everyone who humiliated him. 15 days later, Minsu has become close with the kitchen staff, but just as he is sitting down to eat some noodles, the workers in front of him suddenly freeze, staring over his shoulder with pure terror. Minsu wonders why they froze. Little does he know, Dubo is lurking right behind him. Dubo raises his hands high as if preparing to launch an attack. But in a sudden twist, he drops to his knees right in front of him. He begs for forgiveness, admitting he targeted the wrong guy and deeply regrets tormenting him. Plus, since Se-hun is now family, there is no reason to seek revenge. Hearing this, Minsu extends his hand, accepting the apology and inviting him to share a meal. Dobo is deeply moved to tears by his gesture. The kitchen crew members nearby all shout that it is in the past now. Meanwhile, Minsu has already received another love letter from a different girl. Hearing this, Du's expression turns completely fierce, calling Mu a bastard for going after his second wife. This immediately triggers a wild, chaotic chase right inside the food storage room. Fortunately, it is just some playful roughhousing this time. Minsu smiles, broadly planning to reply to Sira's sweet love letter tomorrow. But when the morning arrives, his mood plummets because of a volunteer assignment. Minsu literally rolls on the floor, whining that he hates volunteer work. He just wants to see Sira and give her the letter. The senior inmates try to comfort him, saying this is the only way to earn points. Just then, a rival group of young inmates arrives for the same duty, immediately mocking them. They arrogantly offer them underling jobs at some cheap fried chicken place. Instantly, the entire room snaps back, demanding to know what nonsense they are talking. Annoyed by this disrespect, a heavy guy from their group immediately steps forward. He aggressively grabs Minsu's collar, demanding to know if he really beat Se-hun. Ndobo sneering that his scrawny frame looks completely pathetic, right as a massive fight is about to erupt. A guard arrives to break them up. Both groups quickly line up in two neat rows, standing perfectly at attention. The sneaky leader of the rival group quickly lies to the guard first, claiming they were quiet and that Minsu's crew started the trouble. The bald senior inmate Wang Hyuk tries to argue, but the guard's heavy fist immediately smashes into his face, calling him an annoying bastard who clearly looks like a troublemaker. Watching this unfold, Minsu is deeply confused by the guard's sudden violence. He cannot understand the unprovoked attack, but seeing the smug grins opposite him, he realizes this guard is completely on their side. Talk about a rigged system. As Hyuk keeps begging for mercy, another guard named Wukong suddenly arrives. He steps in to stop the beating, saying they need to leave shortly. The abusive guard just smiles, claiming he merely got carried away because the inmates almost started a massive brawl. With that, he leads them to the transport bus. Wukong kindly asks the bruised Hyuk if he is doing okay and can still manage the volunteer work, and Hyuk weakly nods that he can. Wukong then stares directly at Minsu's back, asking if he was planning to strike the guard. Minsu merely turns back with a reassuring smile, denying it. Once on the bus, Minsu quietly asks the white-haired Moon Hunjun if he notices a foul odor. Looking back, they spot a rival inmate deliberately stretching his bare, smelly feet forward. Minsu warns him to pull them back immediately, but their leader sneers, challenging them to a fight. He boasts that even Se-hun is no match for his thugs, but suddenly, Se-hun himself boards the bus, standing there in heavy silence with a look. This instantly drains the color from the loudmouth leader's face, leaving him completely terrified. His goons quickly put their smelly feet away in panic. Minsu never expected Se-hun to be released from solitary confinement today. Cursing inwardly, he realizes this volunteer trip is about to get way too chaotic, as none of these prisoners are normal guys to deal with. Soon the bus pulls up at the nursing home. The director and staff wait at the entrance to welcome them. Wukong politely steps forward to shake hands. They hope this volunteer work will bring a positive change to the troubled young kids. A guard mentions he will take plenty of photos to document their hard work. The local workers kindly treat these young inmates to cold drinks. Taking just one sip, the boys excitedly exclaim, "How long it has been! This cold soda is the true taste of childhood," they say, but their real work is about to begin. Today, they must care for the seniors at this nursing home. With no other young people around, the teens immediately start complaining. Right then, an older inmate suddenly points out into the distance, calling out to ask if that is a young woman over there. Si Hyun looks closely and realizes that girl is actually his sister, Si-min. This shocks Si-hyun so deeply that he crushes his soda cup. He cannot understand why she is here. Soon, their first chore begins for the teenagers. They are instructed to wash the elderly's feet while a guard nearby films every single moment. Minsu finishes washing a senior's feet and wipes his brow, letting out a long sigh of relief, but his break is cut short as another voice calls out for help. Assuming it's just another grandpa, Minsu politely agrees, without hesitation, thinking about how much this poor senior has suffered. Seeing all the blistered areas on his feet, Minsu looks up to check on him, but the person sitting there is no grandpa. It is actually Licho, the ruthless leader of broom class. He shoves his wet foot right against Minsu's face, demanding he wipe it clean. He even mocks Minsu, asking if he wants a real career working as his personal foot wiper. Facing this heavy humiliation, Minsu's rage explodes, but he is held tightly by the white-haired Hunjun, who begs him to stay calm. The guard is taking photos, and Licho continues mocking him. With his underlings, he claims that idiot is just a useless hothead, proving Jae-hun and Dubo are not impressive. Minsu grits his teeth, forcing himself to endure this because he knows the guard is corrupt and on Licho's side. Acting now would only make things worse. Meanwhile, Si-min is outside pushing a sweet elderly woman for a walk, pointing out how beautiful the garden flowers look nearby. She suggests they rest, but she stopped here because her brother Si-hyun has also come looking for her, pushing another senior of his own. He asks Si-min why she's slacking off while others work hard, but she replies that she really wants to help them. After all, she was sent to the correctional facility for beating up a perverted old man. Si-min calmly notes that they both made mistakes and should have reported him for harassment instead. Still, she knows one bad man does not represent everyone. Leaning back on the bench, she wonders who they'll become when they grow old. He hears soft crying nearby. Looking over, Minsu sees Cho stuffing his face while cruelly using the food to tease the old man. Minsu angrily shouts out, asking what he's doing, but before he can even finish, a bowl of soup is dumped right on him. One underling mockingly says they didn't do it on purpose, but Minsu wants to tear them apart. Thankfully, Hunjun and Hyuk hold him back. Seeing this, the guard steps in, demanding if Minsu is causing trouble again. Minsu tries to explain about the tray, but this guard is clearly on Cho's side. He refuses to listen. They all claim it was just an accident. Hearing this, Minsu has no choice but to swallow his rage and lock it deep in his heart, while Cho's underlings smile gleefully. They used to fear the grade A prisoners, but now they seem far less intimidating than imagined. Cho smiles and boasts that he doesn't care about their grade they come from, because in his eyes, cold hard cash is the only true power. In this correctional facility, grades aren't based on fighting, but on crime severity, but the worse the crime, the better they usually fight. Since Cho's gang landed in grade C for fraud, they aren't fighters. But they don't need to be. Just look at the news right now. Chairman Moon Hajik of Yuhan Group was just granted bail. With money, you get personal bodyguards, police, and even the law on your side. If you lack muscle, you buy it, and fraud criminals have plenty of money. Don't they? Cho believes that with enough cash, even grade A legends will bow to his absolute power. His underlings cheer in agreement, loving his words. This validation only makes them bolder and far more reckless. Originally assigned to help the elder wash up, they choose to smoke in the bathroom instead, completely ignoring the old man getting scalded by boiling hot water. Just then, Hyuk finishes cleaning up and heads over to the bathhouse. Opening the door, he is greeted by this shocking sight. Hyuk drops his mop and immediately stands right in front of the old man. Cho's thugs sneer that they thought he was security. Hyuk barks back that they have gone too far. What if Grandpa has a heart attack? But before he can even finish, a fist smashes into his face. The fat underling strikes first, demanding who Hyuk thinks he is to order them around. The other two thugs laugh and cheer from the sidelines. Getting beaten, Hyuk doesn't say a word and immediately fights back. But by the time Minsu and Hunjun find him, he is already lying on the floor, beaten completely unconscious. Desperate, Minsu goes to find Wukong, hoping he can help them plan some payback, but Wukong warns that they are already outside. Why keep fighting? Causing trouble here will only lead to massive problems. Realizing Wukong won't help, Minsu turns to leave. Just then, a voice stops Then guard Jang Gi suddenly appears and asks if Minsu just called out for Sergeant Kang Hyun. Hearing this name, both of their expressions freeze instantly. Before they can even explain, Jang Gi says he always found it. Odd how the sergeant treats Minsu like family. What is going on here? What Wukong's relationship is with Minsu? His secret identity is on the absolute brink. Si Hyun suddenly appears, yelling at Wukong that he has been looking all over for him. Apparently those troublemakers are causing problems again. Meanwhile, Gi is utterly confused. He cannot understand how this kid dares speak so casually. Fortunately, Wukong smoothly claims he has been too lenient, which is why they address him so informally. Gi delivers a stern warning. This place is basically turning into a gang academy. I will let it slide this once, but if you get close to this trash again, expect a report to the superiors. Once he leaves, Wukong finally lets out a sigh. His anxious heart finally settles, but seriously his cover is bound to blow soon. Meanwhile, Minsu bumps Si Hyun on the chest with his fist to say thanks, but Si Hyun immediately snaps back. Do not misunderstand, I am not helping a mama boy. Tempers flare and the two almost throw hands right then and there. Suddenly, Wukong grabs their necks like a couple of chickens. Stop fooling around. Minsu mutters pitifully, asking if Si Hyun really refuses to help them. He says those bastards went way too far. Hearing this, Wukong points at him and snaps, you almost got caught just now, yet you are still talking back. Do you actually want to rot in this prison forever? He then orders Si Hyun to keep a close eye on Minsu from now on. Si Hyun hates the idea, but knowing that refusing means double training, he has no choice but to agree. Soon they are assigned to change diapers for paralyzed elderly patients. After doing several of them, Minsu reaches for the next one only to find the bag that was previously stuffed with diapers is now completely empty. Looking behind him, he sees Cho and his lackeys wearing the diapers as armor. I'm not even joking, they actually built diaper armor to attack that. Great a loser, Minsu is ready to throw down, but Si Hyun quickly blocks him. He warns him to stay quiet as Wukong ordered. Minsu sighs, unable to ignore this kind of blatant provocation. Meanwhile, Cho continues to shout like a child. They claim they're not playing around, having even captured a monster to save Earth. The monster in question is actually Hyuk, taped tightly to a chair with his head humiliatingly wrapped in a diaper, leaving only his nose exposed. Seeing this, Minsu boils with absolute rage. How dare they target someone who just got hurt? Si Hyun smacks his head, ordering him to calm down, but Minsu just roars back, threatening to fight him first. Si Hyun simply points ahead and tells him to look. Right there, Cho is already reporting them to the guard, claiming that Minsu and his buddies keep stirring up trouble. Sure enough, Guard Gi approaches and warns them that any more trouble means severe disciplinary training back at the center, not wanting to get Wukong involved. Minsu has no choice but to back down. Later that afternoon, Cho's lackeys head outside for a smoke. One of them asks their leader, Tiho, how long they must remain underlings. Every time Cho brags, he wants to tear him apart. They only tolerate him for the cash, but he genuinely acts like the boss. Tiho reassures them it won't be long. Right now, they are only playing along with the grade C trash to live comfortably. Once the chance arrives, they will make their move. Tiho's ultimate goal is that elite zone where only the strong survive, featuring those prestigious red prison uniforms and endless privileges. They are picking candidates. Right now, a top contender is waiting here. Si Hyun, an underling, asks in absolute confusion if he actually lost. Cho laughs, rumors, probably. Minsu is clearly just a complete weakling here. His goal is simple, beat Si Hyun bloody to impress the bosses. Endure, Minsu tells himself this is the only way for now. To protect his roommates, he refuses to drag Wukong into this mess. Trying to avoid any conflict, he is suddenly tripped on purpose. Two thugs point directly at him on the floor, laughing loudly. Minsu snaps, the burning anger completely overwhelms his rational mind. Kill them, he wants to end them, but something always stops him. Jae-min happens to be nearby, kindly offering him a clean handkerchief. She says he is tough like Wukong, not crying over a silly little fall. She gently wipes his face, while Minsu notices her name tag. Jae-min, before walking away, she asks him to watch her brother. Once she leaves, Minsu starts putting the clues of her name together. Connecting her identity to Si Hyun, he realizes she must be his sister. A plan forms. He now knows exactly how to handle those Class C troublemakers. He runs to the classroom and delivers a sudden chop to Si Hyun. Payback, he challenges him to settle their score right now, one-on-one. Si-hyun lowers his head, telling him to not even think about it. Still, Minsu really wants to teach those Class C punks a lesson. Meanwhile, Jaemin patiently waits for Wukong up on the rooftop. Suddenly, Wukong places a cold drink right on top of her head. He politely asks what she wants, and she warmly thanks him for helping Si-hyun. Her family appreciates him. Wukong says he only helped for personal benefit. Jaemin sighs, joking that he has a real talent for annoying people. They share a friendly laugh before Wukong brings up the red uniforms. From her confused face, she clearly has absolutely no idea about them. The other guards completely avoid the topic or refuse to speak. There must be some way for them to dig up some useful details here. Wukong decides it is time to head back before Minsu starts trouble. Jaemin tells him not to worry. She asks Si-hyun to watch him. She was genuinely impressed by how Minsu held back his anger earlier. Wukong proudly claims Minsu takes after him, so he is impressive. Even when he acts stubborn, Minsu always knows what to do. Jaemin warmly agrees with him, praising Si-hyun as a highly dependable and manly guy. Jaemin strongly defends her choice, praising Si-hyun as a highly dependable man. But while they boast about their siblings, they have absolutely no idea. Si-hyun and Minsu are currently locked in a brutal, intense brawl. Hearing the news, Cho's underlings gather as Minsu asks a confused question. They bullied their roommates and played terrible pranks on the elderly. He demands to know why Si-hyun remains completely indifferent to all their cruelty. Si-hyun coldly snaps that it is none of his business, demanding a fight. But Minsu warns that their next target is going to be Jaemin. It looks like their next target is likely the volunteer, Seaman, isn't she? Just thinking about the terrible pranks they might pull on his sister worries him. This was the strategy Minsu cooked up after meeting Seaman. Seeing that they are still not fighting, Park Cho's thugs start egging them on, asking if they only know how to talk as one gets in his face. He mockingly asks if Se-hyun is scared of Minsu, then takes a brutal hit. His words made sense, which only makes Park Cho's thugs react in anger. They shout in fury, demanding to know why Se-hyun suddenly attacked their guy. Even though his sister is stunning, he was not worried at first. But now he's absolutely furious and vows to make them pay for this. Meanwhile, in the storage room, Gari is submissively lighting a cigarette for Park Cho. He went as far as forging documents to secure him this special privilege. Park Cho calmly voices his satisfaction, promising to prepare more rewards this time. Taking the cash, Gari bows humbly and expresses his deep gratitude. He thanks Park Cho for always giving him such generous pocket money. Pleased, Park Cho notes that if they secure this territory and hire crews, Gari will receive even greater rewards. He then instructs Gari to find a way to make contact with the prisoners locked away in the special detention block. He plans to see them personally, but this suggestion terrifies Gari. Gari warns that the warden handles those high-security inmates directly. If they get involved and mess up, they are both dead men. Just then, a panicked goon bursts in, shouting that Se-hyun is causing chaos. Hearing this, Gari snaps, demanding to know why they ignored his warnings. But Park Cho stops him, telling Gari not to step in quite yet. He wants to teach those troublemakers a lesson, led by the thug. They head straight to the intense clash, a move witnessed by Seaman. Nearby, Minsu is secretly celebrating, since Wukong told Se-hyun to watch him. Minsu decided to do the exact opposite, using Se-hyun's massive temper. He will let Se-hyun clear out his enemies for him. Absolute genius. The three beaten and severely bruised thugs quickly realize they must team up to survive. The mere thought of his sister being targeted fills Se-hyun with absolute fury. But the three coordinate, pinning Se-hyun down using their heavy bodies, while the massive powerhouse of the group launches a devastating head-on assault. Watching closely, Minsu finally decides to step in and join the fray. Se-hyun retorts that nobody asked him for help, but he is quickly overwhelmed. Pinched against the solid wall, Se-hyun faces another crushing charge from the giant. But this time, the wall trick will not work on this fighter. Minsu immediately notices the change, realizing Se-hyun has grown far stronger. Wukong's intense training paid off, but Minsu has also unlocked new power. He is no longer a weakling, which is why Se-hyun warns him to stay back. Minsu shoots back, telling Se-hyun not to drag him down during this fight. He mocks Se-hyun for struggling against these weaklings, but Se-hyun denies it. Minsu calls him a total sister-obsessed freak, sparking immediate, raw fury. Sehun demands to know if they need to settle this right now. With the other thugs down, the two start fiercely grappling. They are ready for a rematch, but Park Cho suddenly intervenes with a kick. Sending Minsu flying, Tijo challenges Sehun, "You were a candidate, right, so fight me." Minsu demands to know who he is to interfere, but Tijo ignores him. He shrugs off the kick like nothing and immediately strikes back. He dares him to withstand the blow. Shaking, Minsu slowly wakes up. As Minsu struggles to stand, Cho steps in, mocking the great boss. Cho makes a final offer: let him run the area until he gets the red uniform. He promises good treatment. Hearing this, Minsu thinks of the red uniform. He remembers the guy who lent him shampoo, wondering what that actually means. Minsu snaps at Cho to get lost, refusing to let him bully his cellmates. He warns him it ends now, but suddenly a black bag covers his head. Blinded by sudden darkness, Minsu is caught completely off guard as Cho moves in. Cho kicks his head, telling him to listen while he is still being nice. His only goal in taking over Grade A is finding a powerful subordinate. He wants someone as strong as Sehun, though he finds Tijo far more impressive. Even though Tijo is only ranked Grade D, his raw power is easily Grade A. Trading blows with him, Sehun feels the pressure. While their raw power matches, Tijo has vastly superior endurance. He uses that durability to take hits on purpose just to counter. If this keeps up, Sehun will lose, but he remembers. Wukong told him his technique and reach were better than Minsu's. But he still lost because that was his only advantage, his reach. When the opponent matches that power and has more durability, how do you fight? Wukong promised to teach him a unique style to completely change his path. He would become truly strong. Seeing Sehun stand up, Tijo mocks him. He tells him to stay down, claiming they are on completely different levels. Sehun snaps back, promising to show him the real difference in their levels. With that, he charges forward rapidly. Tijo laughs and welcomes the challenge. He demands Sehun show his true strength, so defeating him actually matters. But he asks if blocking is all he has, mocking the boring defense. Sehun knows he cannot just defend forever. He remembers his training. Wukong warned him that constant blocking only slows down his own movements. When your guard drops, the opponent will easily break through your defense. He needs to focus and observe the enemy's movements while defending. Do not just think about defending. In this moment, Sehun starts tracking the attacks. Tijo raises his shoulders high, signaling a massive incoming blow. The longer Sehun watches, the clearer his opponent's patterns become. He tracks Tijo's punching speed, patterns, and physical tells. He knows exactly when he will pull back. The timing is fully memorized. The perfect moment to counter arrives. Tijo lands a hit and mocks him. But now the entire battle shifts. Tijo's swings suddenly start missing. Sehun dodges effortlessly and lands a series of solid counterattacks instead. Sehun knows that if Tijo keeps swinging wildly, he will quickly exhaust himself. It is exactly like his previous fight with Minsu. How incredibly foolish. He finally understands why he lost, realizing how terrifying Wukong's teaching is. Simply teaching him to observe made him this strong. Sehun finishes Tijo off. His face shows absolutely zero excitement. Facing an opponent this strong is incredibly brutal. It is already so hard to catch up to Lim Jaisu. The guy still has a long way to go. Sehun wonders where Minsu went, only to find Cho continuously laying into him. Minsu has a black bag over his head. Cho mocks him, asking if he's seriously still holding out. He demands to know if it hurts, but in Minsu's eyes, this is just pathetic. Cho is just too weak. Minsu cannot believe his punches are this powerless. Minsu has been in this exact spot before, but suddenly something clicks. The blows feel like being hit with a toy stick. He is not sure if it is due to his insane training or the aftermath of those two recent fights. Getting cocky, Cho laughs and tells him to cry and call for his mommy. He sneers that Minsu does not even have a mother, hitting a major sore spot. Minsu decides to stop playing around. He tells the bastard he crossed the line. Ouch, that hurts. With a sharp groin kick, Minsu shows him what real pain is. Right then, a harsh voice demands to know what they are doing as guard gi points. He asks if he did not warn them about fighting. Minsu explains he did not start it. Sehun was getting beaten up, so he stepped in, but Wuksong kicks him in the head. He snaps that it is still fighting, then orders Sehun to explain the situation. Sehun insists they did not start it, and that those punks were the ones who wanted to harass his sister and mess with the elderly people around here. At this, Wuksong's expression darkens, but Guard Gi instantly shouts. He warns Guard Kang that this is exactly why he should avoid these arrogant trash. He tells them to prepare to write a massive disciplinary report. Right then, Saman suddenly arrives and tells Guard Gi to prepare for something else. She says he should prepare for a criminal trial instead. Guard Gi asks in confusion. Demanding to know who she is, Saman just smiles and pulls out her phone. She plays a video of his secret dealings with Cho inside the storage room. Guard Gi's face instantly breaks out in a cold sweat as Saman speaks calmly. She points out he accepted bribes and forged official documents. Guard Gi lunges at her to grab the phone, but Wuksong is not giving him that chance. With just one swift move, Wuksong completely subdues him on the spot. Wuksong and Saman share a knowing smile. She broke the deadlock just in time. Wuksong immediately dials the command phone to report him, but as it connects, Guard Gi begs for his life, shouting that he is not the only one. He claims the guards managing the red uniform inmates take even bigger bribes. Hearing about those red uniforms, Wuksong is instantly frozen in absolute shock. Facing the operator's questions, he quickly covers, reporting a routine schedule instead. Seeing he was not reported, Guard Gi eagerly thanks his savior. He promises to never forget this favor. Wuksong agrees to look away just this once. He demands to know every single detail about the red uniform inmates. Wuksong is deeply puzzled. Is this facility's goal not supposed to be reform? Guard Gi scoffs. Some people, he explains, are simply beyond saving. Releasing them back into the public would create massive political nightmares. So the red uniforms exist for one dark reason. They are here to keep anyone else from ever walking out alive. Hearing this, Wuksong is stunned. Doesn't that make this entire system a joke? Is the review process meaningless? Janji says he is too naive. Has anyone actually seen anyone leave this facility the right way? That is only for those wearing red uniforms. They are the inmates who accumulated enough points and are now about to be released. Put simply, leaving this place easily is completely impossible. Lee Min-soo returned from volunteer work a week ago and is now just 50 points away from qualifying for release, but the guards here remain as brutal as ever. Fights between the kids break out constantly, but things have shifted, perhaps because they were taught a hard lesson by Min-soo and Hun-jun. The kids from grade C room no longer cause any trouble. Now, the only thing Lee Min-soo is truly anxious about is having to give his answer to Siro's romantic confession on the next supply day. Originally, Kang Wukong brought Lee Min-soo here to clean up the warehouse, but to his surprise, it is already spotless, and Gusi Hyun is here training. Relentlessly, Lee Min-soo is deeply confused. Since this place is clean, why bring him here? Before he can finish asking, Kang Wukong snaps handcuffs on him. Though Lee Min-soo is incredibly baffled, Kang Wukong tells him to stand still. Then he pulls a tennis ball from a full box, explaining he found a perfect way to train Lee Min-soo. From this moment on, the kid's hands are fully restrained. Now he simply has to dodge the balls Kang Wukong throws at him. Plus, each thrown ball will fly faster than the previous one. Lee Min-soo barely dodges the first one by pure luck, but the second blast of speed hits him like a brutal wake-up call. This is exactly what Lee Min-soo lacks: instinctive reactions to sudden variables and unpredictable danger. Lee Min-soo has no clue what Wukong means by sheer instinct. He already beat Gusi Hyun and Jangdu. Why would he even need more training? Kang Wukong fires back, asking if he actually won those fights fair and square. Their combat styles are honestly too one-dimensional. Lee Min-soo only won by exploiting their distinct weaknesses. If Gusi Hyun had prepared beforehand, Min-soo would have lost easily. If Lee Min-soo had not built up his explosive leg strength, how could he have ever defeated Jangdu? Right now, Gusi Hyun is studying basic combat moves under Kang Wukong. He strongly urges Lee Min-soo to train alongside them. Even if Min-soo hates violence, this hellhole is just too dangerous to survive. Since Janji warned him about the notorious red uniforms, Wukong knows he must make Lee Min-soo into an absolute beast to guarantee his safe, proper release. Meanwhile, the construction supervisor Lee Kang-min is in a meeting with Grade C2 block boss Lee Cho. Lee Cho believes this correctional facility is identical to the outside world. With enough cash, anyone can manipulate the inmates and guards alike. He wants to recruit Lee Kang-min into his rising faction. That way, they can easily pressure the special detention block where those elite red Uniforms reside. If Lee Kang-min partners up, Lee Cho promises him 20% of business profits, yielding roughly $4,000 in clean cash monthly. On top of that, if Lee Kang-min wants that coveted red uniform, Lee Cho vows to secure it. However, Lee Kang-min's cold refusal leaves Lee Cho completely stunned. He bluntly points out that no matter the plan, working with weaklings will only tarnish his sterling reputation. Infuriated, Lee Cho snaps his fingers, offering him more time to think. Plus, why does he think they met without a single guard or subordinate present? As the chilling snap echoes, the boys from grade C2, the strongest cell bosses of Kalu, arrive, starting with level D3 Jang Sanghyun and level D1 Park TJO. Soon, level C6 boss Asung Jin joins them, leaving 4 deadly bosses standing together. They completely surround Lee Kang-min, as a smug Lee Cho mockingly asks his rival. He asks if he has changed his mind now, but Lee Kang-min simply removes his glasses. Recruiting skilled fighters with cash is smart, but are 4 men really going to be enough? At this moment, Lee Min-soo is dodging rapid-fire tennis balls unleashed by Kang Wakong. His adaptation is incredible, showing crisp movements and highly precise dodges. He uses only essential motions. Lee Min-soo has never trained like this before. Clearly, his martial arts potential is absolutely top tier. Seeing this rapid progress, training is over. It is time for Kang Wakong to escalate. Stage 2 begins. This will not be like before. Unlike the simple straight-line attacks, this phase introduces a secondary bounce. With increased speed, these ricocheting tennis balls force Lee Min-soo to track attacks coming from the front while watching for sudden blind spot strikes. Total blind spots. These are incredibly hard for even pros to dodge. To survive Stage 2, Lee Min-soo must adapt to multi-angle assaults. He must build raw instinct, yet Lee Min-soo is still deeply confused. He understands the concept, but why must his arms be restrained? Kang Wakong explains that hands are easily used for defense and offense. He wants him to dodge first, saving his arms only as a final resort. Alongside Gu Si-hyun, after a grueling period of training, their progress is shocking. But the road remains long. Kang Wakong is only a guide. What truly makes them stronger is not their master, but their own inner drive. The training Kang Wakong has arranged this time will be absolute hell. Only by enduring this torture will their dormant potential finally blossom. Failure is not an option. Their potential will forever be wasted. Meanwhile, Kang Wakong is quietly curious to see who comes out on top. After this hellish ordeal, which of these two will become the ultimate beast? Meanwhile, guard Jang-gi quietly opens the door to a secret meeting room. Inside, Lee Kang-min has already taken care of all 4 cell bosses. Only a terrified Lee Cho is left, begging for mercy. And get this, he has no idea guard Jang-gi and Lee Kang-min are actually allies. Game over. This entire setup was a carefully planned trap. Their goal was simply to force the combination to Lee Cho's safe. Acting on the address from Jang-gi, Lee Kang-min's men have already moved. They successfully seized the stash, securing roughly $200 million in cash. According to their deal, guard Jang-gi will pocket a 10% cut. It will be deposited today if Jang-gi summons the special detention block crew. The next day, when Lee Min-soo heads to work, Jang Dubao stops him. He awkwardly reveals that Lee Min-soo cannot work in the kitchen anymore. Guard Jang-gi steps in, explaining that the kitchen is simply overstaffed. They must cut down workers, but there is an opening elsewhere. He is reassigned to the construction crew, where they need some hands. Lee Min-soo looks at the application form, feeling highly doubtful. Is it safe to agree without Kang Wakong's permission? What if it ruins everything? This wasn't the plan, but under Jang-gi's pressure, it's the only way to survive. Earn some points. Lee Min-soo helplessly agrees, while Jang Dobo silently watches them. They walk away. Jang Dobo silently prays that Lee Min-soo stays safe. A kitchen dismissal, a sudden transfer, it all feels too calculated. It is definitely someone's trap. Soon enough, Lee Min-soo arrives at the site. The construction yard is packed with inmates wearing absolutely terrifying expressions. Lee Min-soo can't help but wonder if these guys are actually high schoolers. He desperately hopes the supervisor here isn't another tyrant like Jang Dobo. Dealing with another monster would be total hell. Just then, Supervisor Lee Kang-min approaches. He warmly orders his men to be friendly and not scare the new guy. They should welcome their new coworker. He even thoughtfully brings Lee Min-soo some gloves. Introducing himself as the construction supervisor, Lee Kang-min offers a warm hand. Working with bare hands leads to serious injuries. He then instructs his men. This is Lee Min-soo's first time around heavy machinery, so they must help him. Teach him the ropes. He kindly tells Lee Min-soo to speak up if there's trouble. He promises to always listen. Right now, Lee Min-soo feels a wave of relief. Maybe coming to the construction crew wasn't such a terrible mistake after all. A truly kind leader, he is a massive contrast to Jang Dobo. But Lee Min-soo has no idea. From the dark, Lee Kang-min's sharp eyes. Staring like a starving wolf, he is waiting to strike. Thanks to some shady backdoor deals, a red-uniformed inmate leaves solitary confinement. She immediately starts complaining to the guard about how bad this place smells. It stinks like a nursing home. The guard coldly reminds her of the clock. She only has 5 minutes. Get the job done and get right back. The heavy door swings open, and the red-uniformed prisoner enters Lee Kang-min's office. But here is the crazy twist. This terrifying red-uniformed inmate is actually a girl. Her name is Park Hyoshin. The subordinates stare in complete and utter confusion. How is there a woman in a male facility, even if she looks masculine? Immediately, Lee Kang-min snaps at his men to bow and cover their ears. The thugs quickly obey. Park Hyoshin smirks. She mockingly asks if they are playing some cute little gangster game. Lee Kang-min coldly replies that until he signals them, they see and hear nothing. Park Hyoshin checks him out. His handsome face is her exact type. Lee Kang-min, unfazed, mentions she isn't the contact person he was expecting. She explains Kim Ho-ryung is busy. Is he disappointed to see her instead? Adjusting his glasses, Lee Kang-min says it makes no difference to him. Park Hyoshin dramatically covers her face, feigning deep and playful embarrassment. She teases that his intense stare flusters her. Meanwhile, he evaluates her. She looks incredibly frail, yet wears the highest threat-level red uniform, intrigued. He asks what brings her here, and she simply holds up 3 fingers. The candidate count is officially back to 3. This deeply surprises Lee Kang-min. He wonders how that is possible, since Jang Dobo and Gu Si-hun are out. Both were supposed to be eliminated. Park Hyoshin lists the remaining candidates. First is Lee Kang-min, second is Hong Chol from maintenance, and third is Lee Min-soo. The new boss, Lim Jae-soo, had suddenly stepped up to nominate him. Lee Min-soo is a candidate. Hearing that, Lee Kang-min eyes flash with disbelief. He claims his power is proven. He simply cannot understand why he is still a candidate. Park Hyoshin smiles. She says he has proven nothing. Was it not all achieved because of his highly powerful older brother, Lee Kang-wan, even if a tiger is behind a rabbit, the rabbit is still a rabbit. Lee Kang-min freezes. How does she know about his brother? Park Hyoshin leans close. Can you survive without that tiger, you cute little rabbit? Show me. Angry Lee Kang-min removes his glasses. If I defeat you right here. Now that will prove my strength, but falling for simple provocation just gives Park Hyoshin a massive headache. Not ready. Suddenly her entire aura shifts. Do you think I look weak? This sudden chilling pressure makes Lee Kang-min shudder. He clearly senses this formidable woman is easily on the same level as him. Park Hyoshin tells him not to take it too hard. He is still a very competitive candidate. That is why she wanted to meet him herself. And as long as Lee Kang-min can defeat one remaining candidate, Park Hyoshin will accept that as proof. Then Shin Hyang will help Lee Kang-min finalize everything. After Park Hyoshin leaves, Lee Kang-min is left shaking. Why was he so incredibly terrified of her just now? But here is the catch. He only needs one single victory now, and Lee Min-soo, who is in his own crew, seems like the perfect victim. But Lee Kang-min, looking at his slender frame, doubts he could defeat beasts like Jang Dubo or Gu Si-hun. A test is needed. At his subtle nod, 2 of his subordinates instantly understand. Lee Min-soo is working cheerfully when suddenly a heavy hammerhead flies right at him. His sharp reflexes kick in instantly. The attacking lackey quickly apologizes, claiming it was an accident. Then, as Lee Min-soo walks over to another spot, he is tripped by a wire below him. Is a board spiked with sharp nails, stopping just inches from piercing his eyes. The same fake apology follows, making Lee Min-soo instantly sense something is highly off. Are these actually accidents or intentional? If intentional, what do they want? Before he can think any further, those subordinates surround him, pretending to teach him how to use the saw. They grab his arms and force his palm toward the spinning blade, just as Lee Min-soo is about to be Ruined, the circuit breaker snaps. The entire room plunges into deep darkness. When the lights flicker back on, those three subordinates are lying. On the floor, Lee Min-soo innocently insists he did not touch them, but seeing the crowd gather, Lee Min-soo realizes this whole situation is a trap. Aimed directly at him, Yoon Nul-soo and Jang Sing-hun slowly step forward. Lee Min-soo hesitates. Should he fight back? If he fights, he will likely lose penalty points. After thinking quickly, Lee Min-soo decides to shout loudly to attract the guards' attention. Two guards hear the shouting and run over to investigate, but yet a second later, they're just chatting like nothing happened. This leaves Lee Min-soo completely baffled. It seems even the guards are in on it. Yun Chusu and Jang Sang-hyun's strikes are already flying his way. Meanwhile, Gi-hun is still pulling overtime training in the warehouse. Kang Wukong warns him it's late and he needs to head back. Slipping up on warehouse duty will only raise suspicions. But Gi-hun insists on one more round. He's sure he can clear Stage 1 training this time. After all, Lee Min-soo already cleared Stage 2. Already, being stuck on Stage 1 makes him furious, especially losing to that bastard. Lee Min-soo, back at the fight, Lee Min-soo easily slips past the dual onslaught. Dodging left and right, since he wants to avoid trouble, he has zero intention of striking back. His only goal here is to earn some points and leave quietly, so losing any points is out of the question. Lee Kang-min, watching from the sidelines, seems to realize exactly what's happening. Is this guy just afraid the guards will deduct his points if he dares fight back? To test this theory and draw out Lee Min-soo's true power, Lee Kang-min orders the guards to clear the room. He'll handle this himself. With the guards gone, Lee Min-soo has no reason to hide his skills. He's been itching to let loose and fight. It's the perfect chance to put his secret training to the test. But to his surprise, these guys feel incredibly weak. He's not sure if he has grown too strong or if they're just pathetic chumps. Soon, both Yun Chusu and Jang Sang-hyun are completely wiped out. Lee Kang-min finally gets his answer. So it seems knocking out Gi-hun and Jang Do-bo wasn't just luck. Lee Min-soo demands to know if he planned this childish stunt, asking what he did to deserve such a betrayal. Lee Kang-min calmly explains they're both official candidates, but Lee Min-soo has no clue what that even means. He just wants to secure his points. Hearing this, Lee Kang-min takes off his glasses with obvious irritation, having to prove his worth to someone who doesn't even understand what a candidate is. Makes him furious. He originally planned to let his lackeys take care of it, but being compared to a clueless rookie really ticks him off, so he's changed his mind and will deal with him personally. Lee Min-soo fires back, telling him to cut the talk and just fight instead of putting on a useless show. With that, Lee Min-soo throws up his middle fingers. Get ready, because these two are about to tear each other apart. A nearby bystander asks senior inmate Changi if they're actually roommates. Only after they clash does Lee Min-soo realize just how terrifying his opponent is. Lee Kang-min's striking speed is on an entirely different level compared to the others. Lee Min-soo barely manages to dodge, immediately feeling the heavy pressure. The attacks come like a predator, cornering its prey, relentless and completely ruthless. Lee Min-soo can tell his foe is highly trained in boxing and knows he can't survive by just playing defense. He needs a window to strike. But Lee Kang-min's power is on another level. A heavy punch is effortlessly blocked by a single palm. It seems you never learned how to properly strike. Was it like this with the others? It looks like Gi-hun and Jang Do-bo weren't actually anything special. Lee Kang-min's subsequent strikes are blindingly fast, putting Lee Min-soo completely on the defensive. Min-soo can only keep dodging, but in an instant he spots a sudden opening. Just as the opponent misses, Min-soo goes to strike back, but a massive blow intercepts him. An elbow strike lands. In high-level combat, obvious openings are usually traps. These traps are laid intentionally, and after dozens of quick dodges, Min-soo spots another opening. But it is just another trap. The moment Min-soo steps forward to punch, Lee Kang-min delivers a brutal front kick straight to his chest, using his momentum to step off Min-soo's defensive arm into the air, launching a savage knee strike. Min-soo braces for the impact, expecting the worst, but a hand suddenly blocks the blow. Kang Wuk-sung steps in, catching Lee Kang-min's knee and stopping the fight right there. The guard's eyes turn cold as he warns them that the fight ends now. He warns that if they continue, he will throw both of them straight into solitary confinement. Lee Kang-min wonders when this guy showed up, realizing he is no ordinary construction worker. Wuxung demands if there is a problem, asking why other guards did not stop them. He asks if they deliberately looked the other way to let this happen. The two guards quickly lie, claiming they were out smoking and did not see a thing. With that, Kang Wuxung leads Minsu away from the construction warehouse. Lee Kangmin curses inwardly, furious that he was so close to finishing the job. Next time, Minsu won't be so lucky, as Wuxung takes the boy. In the clinic, Minsu quietly asks his brother why he is not absolutely furious about the fight. Wuxung calmly replies that he first needs to understand what actually happened. He asks why Minsu was even at the construction yard, and Minsu explains. He was told the kitchen crew was downsized, leaving construction as his only option to earn points. But Kang Wuxung knows for a fact that there was never any such order. A similar trick was pulled when Minsu was first sent to the kitchen. It is clear that someone inside this prison has put a target directly on Minsu. Frustrated, Minsu complains about his inability to hold his own in the fight. Just like with Gu Sihyun, he could not land a single clean hit. He could not dodge any of the incoming blows either, but Wuxung tries to reassure him. Lee Kangmin is no street thug. He has trained in professional kickboxing. Unlike Gu Sihyun, this opponent cannot be beaten with simple tricks or strategy. To overcome someone like that, he has to rely on pure, raw power. So Wuxung decides it is finally time to start stage 3 of Minsu's intense training. Until the training is finished, Wuxung will stay close by at the construction yard. He still has no idea who orchestrated this setup, but for now, they must focus on strength. They will wait for the hidden mastermind to make a false move. With Wuxung constantly watching over the boy, Lee Kangmin is left completely frustrated. He has no opportunity to strike, even after having a guard steal Wuxung's personal file. The stolen record shows no weaknesses. He just needs Wuxung gone for one day. Just 24 hours without the guard around, he pulls a hidden phone from his drawer. He dials a number, ordering the person on the line to do him a favor. He warns them strictly not to mention a single word of this scheme to his brother. 1 week later, on a quiet night, Wuxung stands waiting on the street. He checks his watch, waiting for his contact, a woman named Gu Samin. She brushes her hair back, apologizing for keeping him waiting. Wuxung shrugs it off, admitting he left 30 minutes late himself. Every street is watched. Through surveillance, Lee Kangmin's men find his weakness. They find Kang Wuxung's vulnerability, after Guimin and the guards say their goodbyes. A mysterious black sedan begins tailing Guimin all the way to a quiet alley entrance. Several of Lee Kangmin's goons step out of the vehicle, surrounding the area. They mockingly thank her for walking into the alley alone. Guimin calmly asks what they want. She remarks that following her is fine, but bringing this many men is overkill. The thug replies that Guimin must come with them. She agrees without much hesitation, but insists on finishing her cigarette first since she is trying to quit. Meanwhile, inside the office, the warden questions Jang-gi about Kang Wuxung's recent behavior. Jang-gi reports that the guard seems incredibly obsessed with Lee Minsu lately. Ever since Lee Minsu joined the construction crew, the guard's expression has changed. He constantly visits the site, clearly trying to protect the young man. The warden listens intently, then asks if there are any other strange details. Jang-gi mentions that Kang Wuxung was recently asking questions about the red prison uniforms. He explains that transferring Lee Minsu to the kitchen was a strategic test. That was the entire reason he sent Jang-gi and the guard to volunteer together. And while putting Lee Minsu on the construction crew was a special request, it ultimately served to prove that the suspicious guard cannot be fully trusted. After all, he is the only staff member banned from accessing the military network. Since his official files are heavily redacted, the warden has taken extra steps. He hired an external agency to run a deep background check on him. Those crucial results should arrive soon, so Jang-gi must keep watching his target. Jang-gi nods but asks why the special detention block is so interested in the kid. Keeping tabs on the guard makes sense, but why target Lee Minsu? The warden remains completely calm as he delivers a chilling answer. He simply states that the boy looks exactly like someone from their past. Right now, Lee Minsu is washing up, totally unaware of the looming trap. 2 weeks have passed since his intense brawl with Lee Kangmin. Even with non-stop training, he still doubts he can win a rematch. His monstrous opponent is a beast that can only be crushed with pure, overwhelming power. To achieve that level, he needs to survive stage 3 of his brutal training. Suddenly in the showers, Moon Hunjun is asked to pass some soap. His hand slips, launching the slippery bar straight toward an unguarded Wang Huk. Before it can strike his back, Lee Min-soo moves like a flash, catching it instantly. He calmly warns Moon Hunjun to be careful and avoid dropping things. The white-haired inmate stares in sheer shock, completely unable to process what just happened. How could the boy react that fast without even looking at the soap? Plus, his lean physique has rapidly transformed into pure packed muscle. Afterward, another inmate asks why guard Kang Wuk-sung is absent today. Lee Min-soo explains that the guard took sudden leave and assigned him storage duty. Just then, the veteran inmate Chung-hai walks up to him for a private chat. Recognizing him, Lee Min-soo notes they are both on the construction crew. He thanks the older man for cutting the power and saving him last time. But Chung-hai warns him that he still does not comprehend their true enemy. To prove just how terrifying Lee Kang-min is, he pulls down his pants. To Lee Man-soo, at first, Lee Man-soo is startled, not understanding what he actually means. Seeing the scar on Chang-hee's thigh, he finally begins to understand his warning. Chang-hee explains that he was once Lee Kang-min's close friend and subordinate. Back then, Lee Kang-min was the ruthless gang boss who ruled all of Daehyun. Serving under him, Chang-hee defied his orders just once and ended up horribly crippled. If Lee Kang-min were only skilled at fighting, Chang-hee wouldn't even try to stop him. But the boss is truly sadistic, brutally torturing anyone who dares oppose him. That is why he begs Lee Man-soo to avoid the construction crew entirely. One more fight and he might end up broken and thrown out of this facility. Lee Man-soo promises that if guard Kang isn't around, he won't go there. After these repeated assurances, Chang-hee tentatively decides to trust his words. Yet secretly, Lee Man-soo knows that if his plan with Kang Woo-sung requires action, he will have to fight again. Meanwhile, Lee Kang-min is on his phone, demanding a quick status update from his thugs, ordering them to notify Kang Woo-sung the moment they drag their captive to the designated hideout. Ensuring that he never makes it back to the facility today, the thugs ask what to do with the girl next, and Lee Kang-min says whatever they want. Hearing this, the goons are absolutely thrilled, anticipating a wild party tonight. Meanwhile, bound tightly in the backseat, Jae-min is paralyzed with sheer horror. This deadly nightmare is definitely not what she had initially signed up for. She now realizes Lee Kang-min has dangerous accomplices working inside the facility itself. She also deduces her abduction is simply bait to stall Kang Woo-sung. Just yesterday, Kang Woo-sung warned her that they were being heavily targeted. They could be the facility's secret syndicate, or perhaps the real framing culprits. Either way, they are definitely linked to the hostiles in red prison uniforms. While he was ready to act as bait, his biggest fear was Jae-min getting hurt. She handed him her motorcycle keys, teasing that he had better save her if targeted. And right on cue, a roaring motorcycle is tailing the black car close behind. Back inside the facility, a tense confrontation is currently boiling over. Chang-hee directly confronts Lee Kang-min, demanding that he stop targeting Lee Man-soo. He warns him to leave the guy alone, even if his motives remain unclear. Lee Kang-min only chuckles, coldly asking why he should listen to such nonsense. Chang-hee insists it is because they are both members of the construction crew. He is asking this not as a servant, but as a childhood friend. It turns out they were actually best friends back during their elementary years. But immediately after graduation, Lee Kang-min plunged straight into the gang life. While his friend took over the family racket, Chang-hee kept studying hard. He also cared for his sick mother, causing them to drift apart. By high school, Chang-hee got his license to work as a delivery boy. A sympathetic restaurant owner eventually decided to lend him a motorcycle. Thanks to this kindness, he kept working and covered his mother's medical bills. But one day, a delivery order sent him to an abandoned factory. This ruined location happened to be the headquarters of Lee Kang-min's syndicate. There, after many long years, Chang-hee suddenly ran into his old friend. Lee Kang-min immediately offered him an easy, dirty way to make quick cash. Targeting food deliveries, then posting tons of terrible reviews on the shop's public page, making it completely impossible to do normal business. They forced owners to pay just to delete those comments. Naive and clueless, Chung-hai joined their gang, making his very first real cash. If things kept going, he would easily cover his mother's mounting medical bills. But the extorted Chinese restaurant owner suddenly passed away when Chung-hai found this. He realized the kind man they shook down was the restaurant. Owner who once showed him kindness, suddenly he knew the man had died because of his own actions. Driven by intense guilt, he found Lai Kangmin, hoping they could turn themselves in together. But hearing this, Lai Kangmin instantly grabbed him tightly by the throat. If he ever wanted to surrender, he never would have started this dirty business. He gave him a way to survive. Now he wanted to play hero. Lai Kangmin never forgave traitors. With that, he brutally slammed a sharp steel pen into Chonghai's thigh. If he ever mentioned confessing again, he was dead. Just then, his brother, Lai Kangwan, arrived. He was the actual powerful leader behind the whole gang. Lai Kangwan warned his brother that the authorities were closing in fast. He should have kept a tighter lid on everything, but with a tragic death on their hands, the case was huge. Lai Kangmin suggested framing the kid lying on the floor, but his older brother knew better. This mess could not be cleared up by sacrificing a single low-level grunt. So he forced his underage brother to take the fall alongside Chonghai. Soon, both teenagers were locked away inside the Juvenile Reformation facility. Years later, Chonghai notes this is their very first face-to-face meeting since. Lai Kangmin claims he only came because of Minsu, but he had the exact same thoughts. He originally planned to meet him about Minsu anyway. After the clash with Kang Wukong, Chonghai asks him what he means. Suddenly, heavy guards slam him face first onto the wooden table as he is pinned. Why would a big-time gangster take a messy construction job? Crew, if someone gets badly hurt or goes brain-dead, no one suspects anything. And what he is going to do is take one of Chonghai's fingers as a bloody warning gift for Minsu. Meanwhile, the other thugs reach the hideout and text Kang Wukong to meet them completely alone. Before 12 o'clock, but Kang Wukong is already there waiting. Gathered in the warehouse, absolutely confident that Yang won't show up for at least 2 or 3 hours. His girlfriend, meanwhile, isn't scared at all. When one of the men decides to get smart with her, suggesting she seems to be enjoying being tied up like that, he gets cut off. Helmet flies out of the dark, smashing the bastard flat. Now that is an entrance. Yang steps inside, incredibly calm. The crew cannot tell if he tracked them there or simply moved like the wind. Either way, they are terrified. They have the numbers and they know it, but Esong knows it too. He understands that in a long, grueling brawl, his stamina will easily run out first. So he strikes first, moving like a shadow as he easily deflects every incoming strike, countering with brutal, fluid precision in a heartbeat. Someone tries to strike him off guard, but Yang counters with an elbow to the chest. He delivers a hard shot to the chin, pointing out that dropping your guard is a terrible idea. Bad move, a bald guy charges from behind, absolutely furious. Yang ducks and grabs the man's leg, snapping the knee backward. That's one opponent down for good. On the sidelines, one of the gangsters watching from the side has to admit it. Normal people would be falling apart right now, but Yang is actually smiling. Standard tactics. Won't cut it against a monster like him. Out of sheer desperation, one of them pulls a knife instead, but Yang catches his arm before it even gets close, twisting the wrist to end the fight. His girlfriend watches and, though she is obviously annoyed, she has to give him credit. Meanwhile, Minsu is flat on the ground next to a tennis ball, absolutely exhausted. He and his long-haired partner trade tired jabs. Minsu boasts that his training basically pushed him to stage 3 today. Other guy tells him to make up a more believable lie, but Minsu snaps back that a guy stuck at stage 2 would never understand. They're still joking around when an officer walks up, asking why they are not cleaning up yet. He hands Minsu a small wrapped package, apparently a gift from Changi. Then Minsu opens the note inside and the relaxed atmosphere instantly dies. It is from Lee Kangwon and the message is simple: 1 hour or another dark present arrives, whatever is inside. It shocks Minsu. You just know something terrible is about to happen. Yang unties her and she immediately punches him in the gut. She is absolutely furious. Her bound hands are aching and she wants to know if he got so distracted by the thugs that he forgot she even existed. Yang protests that he came as quickly as possible. With a completely deadpan expression, she says she will take his word for it, but this whole kidnapping was never actually about her. It was a total decoy, designed to drag Yang out of Gango so Minsu would be completely vulnerable. Someone had been monitoring Yang's coordinates and gave the signal the moment he left. Now Yang remembers the warning to stay far away from the civil engineering crew until he reached stage 3. He got set up and now someone is walking down the stairs toward Minsu's location. unhurried and deliberate. The man claims he saw Yusong's brother plotting something in the shadows, deciding to watch from a safe distance, but now his patience has run completely thin. He rarely finds anyone worth fighting at his level, he figures. Yusong would understand that thrill. Honestly, do the reasons even matter at this point? Lee Kangwan, boss of the M Gang and ruler of the Gandong district, is ready to move. In a locked room miles away, a battered, sweating young fighter is desperately trying to crawl. Across the cold floor, a heavy boot steps on his already crushed hand. A group of inmates watches silently. The redhead standing over him asks with a smug grin, if Minsu is really that tough. Looking up through the absolute, soul-crushing agony, he tells the redhead to get out of his damn way. He repeats it louder with pure venom in his voice. Minsu finally snaps, launching himself forward, but the redhead is not impressed. He believes the kid has absolutely zero real power to back up all that useless anger. The strikes are clumsy and he could end this fight whenever he pleases, except Minsu keeps dodging, slipping every single strike with ease. The redhead begins to realize this is not luck. The kid actually studied his moves, and now Minsu has lined up the perfect path to turn this whole fight on its head into a trap with absolutely no escape. The redhead tries adjusting his stance, shifting his feet to fire off a quick counter kick. It fails. The blow gets blocked, denied instantly before it connects, forcing Minsu to step back. The surrounding inmates immediately notice the change. Minsu is clearly far stronger now, but he cannot land a clean hit. No luck. That was never actually the goal. While everyone focused on the clash, Minsu was buying Changhe valuable room to breathe, dragging him away from Kong Min's crushing pressure. Changhe, nursing a badly broken hand, quietly thanks him. Now Minsu asks if they can finally stop holding back. Meanwhile, across town, things look far worse. Ruthless gang boss descends the stairs, inviting Yang to settle this the hard way. Talk about a massive reality check. Yang reads his opponent instantly. This guy is in an entirely different league. Yang actually considers running away, but the boss shuts that down instantly. If Yang refuses to fight, the girl gets targeted instead. Either way, someone pays. Time to move. Refuses to let him finish his threat. He charges straight for the head, but his high kick strikes a solid brick wall. Lee Kangwan blocks effortlessly, barely even shifting his balance. Yang desperately pushes onward, using the momentum to target the back of his neck, but Yang is the one reeling from impact. Halfway through the attack, Kangwan easily counters with a brutal punch to the ribs, sending Yang flying backward. He barely lands on his feet, but the agonizing pain tells him something is broken. Kangwan mockingly asks if that tap hurt, because if he was serious, Yang's spine would be completely shattered. He looks genuinely curious about the pain. Knowing he cannot drag this out, Yang rushes back in, but Kangwan deflects. Every strike like it is a basic warm-up drill. He sighs, calling the battle incredibly boring. When Yang throws a desperate spinning kick, Kangwan sees it coming from a mile away, saying this is what you expect from textbook fighters. It is incredibly predictable. He shows absolutely zero creativity on the field. Those words sting worse than any punch. Humiliated, Yang wonders from deep in his mind what kind of brutal battlefields this monster survived to look like that. For Kangwan, the answer is simple. Every single one. He grew up with absolutely nothing, abandoned by everyone. Combat was never a mere hobby or a sport. It was survival. Getting hit hurt less than starvation. And beating down his abusers felt amazing, so he kept going. Dozens of fights became hundreds, conquering street after street, block after block, until he ruled the whole area. Beating Yang is no surprise. He crouches down and tells the kid he is decent enough, but safe fighters all look identical. Eventually making things incredibly boring, he slowly turns his back and walks toward the girl, utterly uninterested and bored. But then her sudden expression shift catches his eye, though she is not looking at him. Yang is standing back up. He admits his moves are simple, just like his master taught. Simple fundamentals are enough for ordinary opponents. But Yang has been observing, and this beast is far from ordinary. So, from this moment on, he is unleashing everything. While this fight heats up, we cut quickly to the deep blue sea, where a wealthy politician pulls in a massive tuna effortlessly, while his companion watches in complete silence. Disbelief shifting the subject, he admits he half expected the boy to quit special forces training, so he set him up as an assistant just to see what would happen. The congressman is not surprised. He points out that 2 out of every 5 candidates drop out. The training is brutal and even the athletic ones struggle to get through it. But this kid did not just survive, he actually dominated. He finished first in every discipline, breaking all special forces records on the books. That raises one obvious question: who exactly is he? The congressman explains his high standard for anyone who wants to be his son. They need both mind and body, so he hired the strongest person he knows. He assigned a former North Korean special agent named Unichun. He was trained by a total monster, back in the warehouse. Yang makes good on his word, walking straight toward Kang Won without any hesitation, no guard, no defensive stance, just pure forward pressure. Kang Won charges in, but his punch does not land at all. Yang counters with 2 clean hits and Kang Won grins. He closes the distance. Certain there is no room left to dodge, his eyes go wide when he realizes Yang never planned to dodge. He catches the fist and wrenches the arm upward, driving a strike straight into the joint for a clean fracture. Kang Won tries to push through, throwing another punch, but Yang blocks it with his elbow and breaks several of Kang Won's fingers in the process. Then he locks the arm, forcing a hold that makes Kang Won scream. Even the novice girl watching can tell something is totally different about this fight. This is not about winning a fight. Yang is systematically dismantling his opponent, targeting joints and pressure points with the kind of precision that has nothing to do with brawling. His eyes are completely blank. He ends the sequence with a direct strike to Kang Won's head right now. The scene shifts to Minsu's fight. Kang Min has switched to kicks, which tells them something. Minsu is forcing him to adapt. Changi watches closely. Even with a bruised hand, Changi sees Kang Min's strikes are sharp as ever. But they are no longer untouchable. Minsu catches a fast kick just in time, but it is a setup. A punch follows immediately to his face. Dodging looks impossible. He drops under it anyway, spotting the opponent's other leg already moving. He gets his arms up and blocks the incoming kick immediately. Kang Min is attacking from 2 directions at once to overwhelm Minsu. He smiles, launching a high kick so incredibly fast that Minsu only a sneaker flies at his neck, and it looks completely over. But Kang Min's expression is not triumphant. Minsu caught his leg. Minsu tells him he had been waiting this whole time for that exact kick. That kick was what he wanted. The scene shifts to a flashback. Minsu is back in training, tennis balls flying at full speed. He does his best to track, block, and deflect whatever he can. His arms grow incredibly fast as his battle-hardened body slowly adjusts to keeping up the rhythm. When the training machine stops, Yang tells him he is dodging 5 balls easily, so they are adding 5 more, and Minsu hates the idea. But something has been bothering him. He noticed even professional fighters do not dodge everything and wants to know why. Yang explains it. Simply, pros choose which hits to take. Sometimes they take a hit on purpose because their counter is going to deal far more damage. As the number of balls increases, Minsu will reach a point where dodging everything is impossible. Deciding what to take and what to avoid is the real skill. Back in the present, Minsu is about to show everyone exactly why that lesson matters. He locks Kang Min's leg tightly under his arm, telling his opponent that he had been waiting for that exact high kick the entire time. Kang Min struggles but cannot break free, as the grip is too tight and the angle is perfect. Now Minsu applies Yang's lesson, sacrificing the flesh to shatter his opponent's bone. He holds his ground, absorbing the brutal impact. And unloads, he brutally hammers the same leg, over and over, bone snap. In multiple places, the moment he releases the leg, Kang Min instantly crumbles, clutching his shattered leg in agony before he can even process the pain. Vicious straight punch lands flush on his face. Minsu tells him not to fall yet. More is coming. We leave the fight, shifting back to the quiet warehouse where Yang is waiting. His face is heavily bruised from his own fight, which she notices. Immediately, she tells him his already battered face looks even worse now. He tries to speak, but she quietly silences him. Suddenly, she breaks down, pulling his head against her chest, begging him not to look at her as she cries. She insists he could have ended it faster without taking so much damage. Yang apologizes while holding her close, but in his mind, he is calculating. His last opponent was no pushover. If he hadn't managed to break his arm early, the outcome could have been disastrous. Snapping those fingers was another move that tipped the scales. He survived, but it was messy. Suddenly, the double doors burst open. A sharply dressed man strides inside, followed by a massive crowd. Young steps immediately in front of the girl, demanding to know how they discovered this place. One of the thugs he beat earlier admits he made a call while the two were distracted with their emotional moment. Before anyone can react, Kang Min grabs the informant by the hair and slams his face into the floor. Everyone present, including Yang and the girl, watches in shock. The informant is knocked out cold. Kang Min, barely standing, says he is so humiliated he could die. This fight is strictly between him and Yang. Nobody else belongs here. Bringing all these men along, he mutters, is like throwing dirt on his pride. Two underlings move to support his weight. As they lead him out, Kang Min stops and smiles. He admits he lost this battle, but promises to return 10 times, 100 times if necessary. Yang instantly shuts that down, coldly stating that they will never see each other again. The entire gang files out through the gates back to Minsu's fight. The crowd is stunned. Chang-il has completely forgotten the pain in his hand. Kang Min has been systematically dismantled since his legs were taken out. Body shots, head blows, nothing but desperate defense. Eventually, the giant falls. Minsu demands he get back up, stating it is not over. Kang Min hits the floor, grabs a weapon, and charges, but Chang-il moves fast. He is fast enough to grab Kang Min's arm mid-swing, keeping him completely locked in place. Yusung drives another hard fist into his face. Kang Min simply cannot believe what is happening. He never thought he would lose to someone like this, unable to comprehend Yusung's massive growth in such a short time. He takes hit after hit, desperately trying to make sense of it. Finally, he accepts reality. He cannot win. Yusung drives forward with a massive charge and throws him back. Kang Min skids across the floor, lying there in complete shock. Unsure of what to do next, he suddenly starts laughing, scanning the silent crowd. He spots Chang'e in the crowd and starts screaming about the unfair fight. Chang'e interfered with the match, and the onlookers need to step in. They must do something. Then, he goes even further by threatening everyone around him. If he fails to become a candidate, everyone here will rot in this place. His organization is his true strength, he shouts, and Yusung cannot stand alone. He cannot do anything by himself. Yusung turns around and senses the shifting room. The crowd's eyes have shifted. A messy situation is about to get much worse. Now Yusung is dodging strikes from all sides as Kang Min turns the room. The mob is against him. Yusung's hands burn from blocking endless incoming attacks, and he worries his hand might be fractured from hitting the same spot. Over and over, in this chaos, a single moment of lost focus is fatal. A heavy blow catches his face, and a desperate group pins him to the ground. With a busted hand and outnumbered, someone winds up for a devastating headshot. But an unexpected ally strikes first. Sejin steps into the fray with a heavy blow. He drops the attacker instantly, leaving Yusung staring in absolute shock. Sejin casually jokes about receiving a telepathic call, then leaps into action. He tears through the mob, mentioning some old debt from their orphanage days. Back when they volunteered together, Kang Min watches this unfold and gets nervous. He quickly begins to calculate his odds, since Sejin was never expected. His mere presence freezes the crowd, but then a dangerous figure steps forward. Yongwon, the notorious vice chief of the civil engineering class, approaches. He was the first opponent who ever gave Kang Min a real fight. Inside this correctional facility, and Kang Min knows this is his last hope. Yongwon goes in hard, but Sejin calmly covers his eyes as a blind swing comes. Yongwon attacks blindly, completely unaware that his target has already vanished. And appeared beside him. A clean punch drops Yongwon, leaving Kang Min speechless. He watches his ultimate trump card fall, unable to process it at all. So he quickly switches tactics, desperately begging Sejin to wait a moment, claiming his men have taken Sejin's older sister hostage to stop them. Sejin does not buy the threat, instantly calling out his pathetic bluff. It is a desperate excuse from a sore loser, but then Kang Min produces his phone. It is a photo of the girl tied up as he names her. He explains that guard Kang was causing trouble, so they targeted her instead. The guard is absent because he is currently being beaten to death. Hearing this, Yusung loses his mind, landing a devastating blow to Kang Min's face. The villain hits the floor hard, his phone sliding across the ground. Yusung points out that Kang Min's friendly persona was nothing but a fake act. A pathetic front used to fool everyone, and now his time is up. Those weak lackeys are not going to stop Kang Yuong. Desperate, Kang Min tries one final reckless play. he orders Sejun to kill MSU to save his sister back. The friends lock eyes, then they smile at exactly the same moment. They grin, fist bump, then MSU tells Sejun to handle the rest. Sejun should deal with it, since Kang Min made this personal by targeting family. Sejun steps forward, that is music to his ears, the first good thing. Kang Min screams the order again, desperate, but nothing changes. Sejun tells him not to worry, guard Kang is protecting Simon, so she is completely safe, but for targeting her, Kang Min has earned his coming punishment. Kang Min is dead silent now, he is completely out of options. While Sejun handles that mess, MSU grabs his phone and dials. He gets his brother Kang Yuong on the line, the tone is relaxed. MSU reminds him, he warned him not to go near that building alone. Since he is calling it worked, Kang Yuong confirms he rescued Simon. He jokingly tells MSU to call back once he is in solitary confinement. They hang up like nothing happened. Simon is riding behind Kang Yuong. She grips him tight on the motorcycle, letting out a heavy sigh. Kang Yuong mentions he heard her younger brother sounding absolutely furious. She insists they are going straight to the hospital for his ribs. He complains, making her sigh, so she offers a better option. Come to her apartment instead, and he can finally meet her orange cat. They walk in and a chubby orange cat is waiting, the same one he rescued. Then the rich aroma of food hits them. Suddenly, it feels much warmer. Kang Yuong thanks Simon for patching him up, a cozy night. She deflects instantly, she only made food because she is starving. He just watches her with a smirk, obviously not buying a single word of her excuse. While waiting, he notices a framed family photo resting on the shelf. He realizes it is Simon's family, her, Sejun, their mother, and a man. Simon flatly calls him her traitor father. No further explanation is needed. A few minutes later, she serves the dinner, teasing him to pretend it tastes delicious. But as she turns, she sees Kang Yuong out cold on the floor. He is completely out cold, only the cat responds, she is annoyed. She is genuinely frustrated after all that effort, but she grabs a blanket. She drapes it over him, knowing he deserves the rest. Then she decides to lie down beside him, pulling him close. It is incredibly cozy, no words are spoken, nothing to say. Meanwhile, across town, Kang Min is on the ground with his crew. Sejun asks if things are wrapped up. MSU wants to know how he arrived. Sejun explains that the prison guard, Jusiop, let him in. Then MSU remembers to check Chung's hand, time to see. The bandage comes off, all his fingers are still attached. Chung explains they were only seconds away from losing a finger. Out here, nobody cares if you get maimed or worse. Kang Min had already started slicing, but Jusiop stopped the blade. He grabbed Kang Min's hand at the last second, ordering him to stand down. With Minsu around, they didn't need to go that far. Minsu then asks about the finger. The one he saw earlier, wrapped in cloth, Changhai immediately cuts him off. Pointing right at Minsu's hand and telling him to look, the back of his fist has swollen to nearly twice its normal size. They agree he needs medical attention, but first a quick rewind. Picture a bare hand, some heavy pliers, and a finger getting cleanly snipped off. Jusiop smiles, figuring that should be convincing. Enough, though maybe a little paint wouldn't hurt, until the vice director gets back. He'd rather not have any wild incidents on his hands. Back in the present, someone heads to the infirmary and stops dead at the sight of a prosthetic arm in a case, missing a finger. A guard grumbles that now he will have to buy a new one, so that was in the package. Minsu gets treated for a minor fracture, some inflammation, nothing serious as long as he takes his meds and doesn't push it. The doctor says the swelling will go down, but pushing his body past its limits by copying his older brother's techniques is still taking a massive toll, and it shows. While resting, he hears someone nearby asking if they're about to become a red uniform prisoner. Minsu pulls back the curtain and freezes. It's Bucktooth, wrapped head to toe in bandages. He explains he went up against Kang Min and ended up like this, but he's grateful for the chance at payback. Minsu asks what the red uniform thing is about, and Bucktooth says he'll only talk if Minsu becomes his subordinate. Minsu picks up a feather and moves it toward Bucktooth's exposed foot. That's all it takes. Bucktooth immediately folds, laughing before the tickling even starts, giving up the secrets. Red uniforms are for high-priority detainees, people the facility has decided should never be reintegrated into society. They're managed directly by the warden, kept completely separate, and given a Specific job, making sure inmates close to earning their release never quite make it out. If manufactured demerits don't work, dirtier methods do. The rumors say nobody leaves this place whole. Kids who have served their time and are about to be released get crippled first, because if they have to let someone go, they'll make sure that person can't cause problems on the outside. That is what the red uniform means, and the most likely next candidate is Minsu, somewhere else entirely, a girl at an arcade machine. Mentions she didn't expect Kang Min to lose. Her companion, named Lo, says the real question is whether to back Hasan Kyeol from the maintenance block or Minsu, and maybe the cleanest answer is making them fight it out. The other one, Luro, explains that the selection process is on hold for now. Anyway, because a major variable just re-entered the picture. Use O'Neill is back. 2 weeks pass, and Kang Min is sent to solitary for the fight. Word spreads fast. The rumor that Minsu took him apart single-handedly changes how the other inmates look at him almost overnight. He becomes the new leader of the civil engineering block, and his first order of business is telling everyone to get through the day without any incidents. In the hallways, people are still talking about it. Minsu admits he never expected his friends to follow him into civil engineering, and they ask if it's true that he did all the real work while Sejin just landed the finishing blow. Then someone cuts. He cuts through the conversation, ordering everyone to freeze. The guard then lists their violations: improper formation, disobeying direct orders, and talking in the corridor. Yang tries to smooth things over, explaining they just got back from some volunteer work, but the guard immediately snaps at him for not saluting. He quickly corrects it, snapping into a proper salute, but before he can even finish, the guard cracks him across the face with a baton. Minsu goes stiff. The guard screams for everyone to get back in formation, raising his voice when they lag. This brutal man is Seanyol, the vice director of this entire correction center. He is officially back, and he is already making that terrifyingly clear. The boys stand stunned. Yang is left flat on the cold ground, the agony from that sudden strike keeping him down, but Seanyol just shrugs it off, casually claiming he was merely breaking in a recruit. Then he locks eyes with Minsu, finding his defiant glare quite interesting. Minsu himself is about 2 seconds away from saying something that will get them all killed. Suddenly, someone grabs him from behind. Sejun quickly steps in, offering a polite apology, and explains that Minsu is not quite himself today. It is a smooth save. Meanwhile, Yang is still struggling on the floor, held back by his friends, when another guard walks over and tells Seanyol that the director is waiting. Hearing this, Yang knows the vice director seat has been empty for years, but now suddenly it is filled. Just another thing that does not add up. Inside the director's office, Seanyol enters with a stiff greeting, announcing he is officially back on duty. The director behind the desk asks if his trip went smoothly, and Seanyol confirms everything was fine, but he notes that the facility discipline has slipped badly while he was gone, and he plans to correct that starting today. The director looks almost surprised at his intensity. Surely the man should rest first, but Seanyol flatly declines. This is not work to him, but rather a source of pure personal satisfaction. And his goal is simple: he will mold this human garbage into something useful. Days pass by. Inside a classroom, a teacher walks his unmotivated students through intertextuality, showing how books shape one another. The class is absolutely bored. One student in particular is losing his battle against sleep, his heavy eyes slowly drifting closed. Out of nowhere, a heavy chair flies across the room, striking him. Seanyol barks at him, warning that if he wants to avoid being trash forever, he should stay awake. The terrified, bleeding student quickly mutters an apology. This brutal punishment is way too extreme, and everyone knows it. Meanwhile, Yang sits in the cafeteria prepping food, his dark thoughts constantly circling back to the same dark place. The more he ponders, the more his fury builds. His little brother should never have ended up in this living hell, not for his sake, and certainly not for theirs. He never wanted any of this. Suddenly, he looks up to spot Seanyol in the kitchen, harassing the staff, demanding to know who allowed them to serve meals so poorly. He ends up dumping the hot food right over the young cook. The threat is instantly clear. From that dark day on, life at the facility shifts. Inside the dorms, boys sit in perfect, rigid attention until lights out. In the corridors, they march in strict formation. The iron rules tighten around every single movement. Then the freezing, gray rain begins. The shirtless boys are forced outside, pushed face down into the freezing mud. Dirty water floods their mouths, and some of them start to break down. One poor kid throws up, and a brutal strike instantly hits him right in the neck. The guard wants. They bark, demanding to know who told him he could lift his head, as more guards force him down. Minsu watches, snaps, and charges the guard, slamming directly into him. He drops down beside the student, Hyun-jun, urgently asking if he is okay. Another guard steps forward, menacingly tapping a heavy baton against his palm. Yanol's cold voice cuts through, warning that attacking a guard has consequences. Yang is still holding Hyun-jun. When Minsu speaks the truth, everyone is thinking. None of this is right, and Hyun-jun could have died out there. Yang steps in front of his brother, apologizing directly to Yanol and promising to handle the discipline himself. Yanol coldly asks if they are his responsibility. Yang says yes. For a brief moment, it seems like that is enough. Yanol agrees to leave them in Yang's hands, and the heavy tension begins to fade. But then he holds out a baton, wanting to see how a guard disciplines his own. He wants to see a demonstration right now in front of his eyes. The two brothers lock eyes, both realizing there is absolutely no good option here. Yang hesitates, completely cornered. His superior has just ordered him, point blank, to strike Minsu right here in front of everyone. He hangs his head in silence. Then he looks up at his brother. Minsu's face is calm, and Yang understands the look immediately. When Yanol presses him, demanding to know why he is hesitating, Yang speaks up. He claims he knows how to handle his own students and just needed a moment to think. Gripping the baton with both hands, he promises to show exactly how it is done.